was a 2-strike policy, and 2 strikes was it. He's gone, and we'll see what the Ospreys can do, but that was a big win. You saw a big win, and that was fun. It was good. The energy in the place was really good at UNF Arena. So thanks for checking it out, man. We appreciate it on ESPN Plus. We are going to get you set for the Combine. Coming up in just a little bit, we're also going to talk to Merrill Hodge, a variety of things. There's a football event in town tonight that's very different, unique, but I find it interesting. And Merrill Hodge and Solomon Wilcots are a part of it. But obviously, Merrill Hodge knows football in general. So with the Jags looking for a quarterback, he has sometimes been a controversial figure in Jacksonville, not afraid to speak his mind. Sometimes the fan base hasn't liked that when it comes to Merrill Hodge. But we will speak with him coming up as well throughout the program. We're also going to get story time from Austin Lane. How many stories do you have packed away, do you think, from your NFL Combine experience?
On the Combine, I mean, I probably have a good 3 hours worth of just stories I could tell. You know, I mean, we're talking like a Godfather.
Program.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much as long as a Godfather or like the Braveheart, movie. So, Brent, you kind of talked it over with me a little bit of you want me to share some Combine stories. So what I'm going to do throughout this, because it's Combine week, is that I'm going to share stories starting out when I was training for the Combine when I get there. And then so today it's going to be a little teaser for you guys. It's going to be my Combine preparation and some of my teammates that I trained with and whatnot. And then the first day when you get your physicals and you have to weigh in and get your height and everything like that. So I'm going to share some stories with that today.
All right, we got story time. Folks that enjoy the show, and we appreciate that you've checked out the show. That's one of the compliments of it. They like Austin Lane's story time. So get your pillow.
Well, I'm not going to put you to sleep.
No. Feel like you got to get in a comfortable spot.
Yeah.
Bedtime story or not.
Yep.
Grab a coffee and get in a comfy place. And story time is coming up on the way, maybe even a couple of different times throughout the day. I'm interested in the whole thing because we talked about it last week. I think at times it can be overrated, yet I find this year's to be very intriguing because of the quarterbacks and Haskins and Murray. Yet I feel what we talk about with the NFL Combine, what we see on the surface, what we see on NFL Network, what we see in the coverage, I think is so secondary to what is behind the curtain, and that is the medicals and also the interviews with teams. And I guess as a player, these guys have been prepping for the last 2 months for this week and their pro day. But this is really the final test, or at least one of the big exams between now and the draft. This is a chance to really increase your stock in the interview room. Also, there's reports of Kyler Murray gaining weight, going over
206 pounds, supposedly, according to Peter King today.
And what's interesting to me on that front is, okay, if Kyler Murray is up to 206 pounds, some people thought he might be like 190. Are we just fooling people and GMs and scouts to say, hey, yeah, I had a bunch of shakes in the last month, so I added weight, and that will increase my draft? I mean, are scouts, are they that dumb? I mean, that you can fool them that quickly with a scale?
I mean, listen, he can weigh at 206 pounds, but it's going to be how he looks at 206.
Yeah. But he's already fast, so how much can it slow him down, right?
No, for sure. I don't mean that. I mean just with his shirt off and whatnot. If he put on muscle, if it's just water weight, scouts actually take a look at that as well. So if Kyler Murray comes in at a legit 206 pounds, Brent, Russell Wilson, back in the day, came in at the Combine 5'11", 204.
Yeah.
So assuming that Kyler Murray weighs, 206 pounds, comes in at 5'10", I mean, these are comparable to Russell Wilson numbers.
That to me, honest with you, the height doesn't do as much for me as the weight.
Really?
I think the height, I've said this before, I don't think we're all sitting. Now, we are intrigued by what it's going to be. Is it 5'8"? Is it 5'9"? Is it 5'10"? Or is it close to 5'11"? Who knows? I mean, I think it can range from 5'8" to 5'11" with Kyler Murray, although I think 5'11" is on the high side from what people have said. But what I think is, I think people know that. I think people know that the height is going to be somewhere in that vicinity, which makes it under 6 feet, which makes it small. So it's not really like you're talking about, I think it's more intriguing of a guy who might be 6'3", but really is 6'2", because a lot of people think there's a threshold there. Well, we already know Kyler Murray's under that. So he's under a different kind of threshold. He's under a 6'1", and he's no way he's getting over 6 feet. But I do think his size, in terms of his muscle, his mass, to be able to hold himself like a Russell Wilson, to be able to take a blow or a hit that might knock him down for a second and sting him. I think that's the more critical part for teams, because there's a difference between being small in terms of stature and, well, for lack of a better terms, fragile, because you're so slight in terms of your body size.
And in terms of teams being critical, do you find yourself worried about him only maybe being 5'10", where he could get some balls patted down at the line? Or do you think being out of the shotgun and whatnot is going to help him, and being under center is really not that common anymore?
I think there is
in most offenses.
Yeah, there is a lot of people that say, and I don't know what the numbers are, because I think there's a lot less folks that are 6 foot and under, but they say more quarterbacks, I think by average is the stat, have passes knocked down over 6 feet tall than they do under 6 feet tall. We've seen it with Blake Bortles. He's 6'5", and he has issues. Chad Henne, I think, is 6'3", and he had issues with the ball getting batted down. I mean, that's just here in town. There's quarterbacks all over the league have that problem, but you need to find windows. Russell Wilson finds windows. You know, it looks like Baker Mayfield found plenty of windows this year. So if the guy is savvy enough to find windows and he's accurate with the passes, well, again, the height is not as much a problem for me as a guy who's running around but is going to take hits. I'm concerned about a guy like Blake Bortles, even at his size, taking hits. Mm-hmm. But he knew how to avoid the big hit. If you are going to run around and you can avoid the big hit, well, more power to you. Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I also don't want that guy delivering blows. All we have to do is look at Cam Newton. Cam Newton takes a bunch of hits, and he started to pay the price for it. Deshaun Watson took a bunch of hits.
Aaron Rodgers.
He paid the price for it.
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, you've got to know when to get down, get out of the way, and at least avoid that huge collision that's going to knock you out for the year.
Well, here's the thing. When you start running, too, and everything, sometimes it comes from the backside. You don't even see it coming, and that can be dangerous as well. So it's one thing to know when to get down, but it's another thing to have the offensive line to have your back as well.
All right, a lot more Combine talk, including story time from Austin Lane on the way, but that's a bit later on. Coming up next, we've got a guest right off the rip on a Monday on Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690. You know him. His name is Merrill Hodge. Why he's in town tonight and what he thinks about the Jags going forward. Coming up next on ESPN 690.
Action Sports Jax with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 is brought to you by Best Bet Jacksonville and Orange Park.
Hey, it's Bill with Bill Fenwick Plumbing. I have yet to meet anyone that has woken up in the morning and said, "Hot dog, today I'm calling a plumber." Usually it's, who am I going to call and can they take care of me today? Yes, we know the stereotype, dirty, smelly, probably late, and more than likely, you don't want him to bend over. If you need a plumber, call Bill Fenwick. See what our Golden Plunger service is all about. Call us or go to BillFenwickPlumbing.com.
Hi, this is Earl Ron, president of New South Window. New South makes windows that are energy efficient and hurricane resistant. You get both. If you have aluminum windows, it's time to get rid of yesterday's technology. New South is the factory and eliminates the middleman. Don't even think of buying windows until you see what our factory can do for you. New South windows are made in Florida, for Florida homes, by Florida workers, because we know Florida weather.
Going on now. For every 2 windows you buy, get the third free. Visit newsouthwindow.com.
Hey, everybody, this is Brent Martineau from Action Sports Jax here on ESPN 690. And although the focus has shifted a little bit from football and heading into basketball season, maybe even baseball season, we have not lost our focus on helping you get the best car buying experience. If you haven't been to see my friends at the new Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville, you've got to see this new state-of-the-art showroom and meet their fantastic people. Beyond that, if you're thinking about buying a new or pre-owned car, you really should go see the team at the new Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville. I'm really confident you'll find their approach to be a breath of fresh air. Take it from me. I drive a Hyundai, and my friends at Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville emphasize a no-risk and no-pressure approach. They offer a limited lifetime warranty that's good anywhere in the United States, and if you're not 100% satisfied with your vehicle for any reason, you can bring it back within the first 7 days for your money back. Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville is located on Atlantic Boulevard. You can schedule a test drive today at JenkinsHyundaiofJacksonville.com. and tell them Brent Martineau sent you.
Now you have a bunch of young guys who found out we were all on the trade block. Now that trade didn't go through, so I agree with Magic, and you got to put on your big boy pants, but we all don't know how everybody's going to deal with it.
Golic and Wingo, weekdays from 6 to 10 a.m. on ESPN 690. Now, back to Action Sports Jax with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
Hey, welcome back in on a Monday in Jacksonville, Florida, everybody. But you know us. You can hear ESPN 690 AM from Charleston, South Carolina to Melbourne, Florida. We appreciate you joining us here to start your work week, and hopefully you're having a good start to it. Another nice day in Jacksonville. A little on the cooler side for Jacksonville, but don't tell the rest of the country that. Like I said, we're going to the Combine in Indianapolis coming up, and we know how chilly it is there. Brent Martineau, along with former Jags player Austin Lane here on ESPN 690. Coos is here as well, pushing all the right buttons. And right now we are pleased to be joined by Merril Hoge. You know him well as an analyst and, of course, former football player with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And now he's in Jacksonville tonight, and he's a head coach of a football team. And we're not sure if you've heard about this league, but this is a cool deal. It's called Your Call Football, and they are playing tonight at Daly's Place, a flex field down near Jags headquarters, of course. And he's the head coach of a team, and he's here to tell us how it all works and also talk a little Jags football and NFL football. Merril, how you doing?
I'm good, my brother. Very good.
Hey, tell us how you got into this thing, and layman's terms it for the folks out there. I think this is fascinating where the audience and the fan base can get involved and maybe even walk away with a few bucks.
Yeah, well, we gave away a little over $70,000 last year. We'll do that more this year with an opportunity for a perfect game call would be $1 million. So to back up a little bit, when this idea got presented to me, I've been coaching for a long time, predominantly, youth football all the way through high school and a little bit of college kids. And to coach an NFL environment, a professional environment, and to have fans actively involved with the technology that they developed was actually intriguing. So really what it is, if you've ever seen Madden played, if you've ever played football in a computer game where you have three options, you pick that play, then you execute it. Well, that's what you're doing, but you're doing it in a live format. I'm the offensive coordinator as well, so what I do on every down and distance, I give the fans what's called a bundle. There's 3 plays there. They vote on those 3 plays. It takes 10 seconds. They got 10 seconds to vote. Once the votes are tallied up, the majority of the votes, whatever play wins that, comes down to me, and I send it into our quarterback. So fans call all our plays. You can win money by playing the entire game, just a quarter, just a half, or the 4 games that we're going to play. So a lot of opportunities, exciting for fans. Last year, a lot of feedback was calling plays all the time. They got to learn what it's like to be an offensive coordinator. A little different than just calling one play on occasion. They get to call them all now.
That's pretty cool. Wow. Merril Hoge with us. So does it take the pressure off you a little bit, or what?
You know what? That's actually an awesome question, because I'm sitting here actually in my office right now going over my bundles, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is so hard, because it's hard to get to the one play you really want. You can't just put them all in one bundle. You got to give the fans options, run, pass, and different versions in different situations. So it's a little more difficult. That's why I guess the pressure falls on the fans in their voting process. But we try to do some stuff with social media leading up to it, not just a week, but actually today we'll be doing a lot of stuff with my Instagram and Twitter and Your Call Footballs as well. We give as much information as we can to fans to help them find out what kind of team we are, what are our strengths, what are good plays to call for us to help them out with their play calling.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. $1 million for calling a perfect game. I mean, that's going to be enticing in itself, especially this day and age where gambling has become so prevalent, but also just being a part of the action has become so prevalent. And I took a look at the rosters. I mean, you've got guys from all over the place. Where did you find the players, or how did they get on these rosters and involved in this?
Yeah, well, there was really a mixture. We're pretty young as far as our rosters go, but all these guys have dabbled in a training camp or been there, played for a few years, and then just need some more development. We're that's what we really are doing. We're developing guys that need a few more reps. What happens when you get into an NFL camp, especially come to a college environment where you didn't learn a lot of the pro system, we have about a week to 10 days to figure that all out. Plus get better as a football player, and if you don't, then they got to move on. So we give kids that maybe got caught in a situation like that or got hurt. I mean, there's a lot of different other scenarios, but the one thing I love about all these kids here, both teams, I mean, they're hungry, they're here because they love the game, and they want to get better. And we're not just trying to develop good football players. We really take this opportunity to develop good people and good men in the process.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let me give some folks some of the information. Free Your Call Football app, which YCF app. So that's how you kind of get in and get started on this thing. Again, the perfect game. You can win $1 million if you do it right. Also, things start tonight, 8 o'clock, and it's basically 4 consecutive Monday nights. This is kind of a series, like a month-long deal. How did you guys find Jacksonville, and you're playing at Daly's Place, the Flex Field over there at Jags headquarters?
Well, we were Vero Beach last year, and, in their search, Jacksonville just seemed to be a really awesome situation for us with the Flex Field especially, and the housing here at the Hyatt. So it kind of just the way it came together, and it gives us a professional environment, which we've developed as how we practice, how we play, and so to have that for the players and even the fans who come watch it tonight will be a real fun experience for everybody.
Hey, what's up, Merrill? Austin Lane here. So listen, I'm a huge fan of what you guys are doing. You've actually had a few players this past season that made NFL rosters, and a few more were invited to NFL training camps. My question to you is, so do guys actually get paychecks per game basis, or is this more of just like a weekly thing, or how does this work?
No, they pay. Okay. They put them up and pay them every week. I think it's a little over $1,000. So, they're listen, they're not making millions, so they're here because they love the game, but they are getting paid. They do take care of them. The one thing that I wouldn't have gotten involved in it had it not been a first-class setup. And I know that some of these, fly-by league startup things, they don't pay their players, or they're not prepared, and then they get caught into a lot of situations. That has not been with this group. They've been first class all the way. The players have responded, and we have a nice professional environment.
Again, check out the YCF app, Your Call Football app. You can also view the games on the app and also on barstoolsports.com, so everybody knows where that is, and you can be a part of it. I'm interested in checking this thing out, 8 o'clock tonight at Daly's Place and the Flex Field. It's going to be fascinating to watch. How close do you stay involved in the game of football now that you're doing this instead of analyzing? And from that, obviously, you're very involved in the game. I mean, from the broad side of things, the NFL, what's happening right here in Jacksonville and across. You did the analyst thing for a long, long time.
Right.
Are you still heavily paying attention to it? Do you miss that at all? What's the latest in your life with football?
Well, no, I still stay involved. I still have my NFL set up where I watch tape every week. I mean, I get all the tape for the league. I help start a way to play program where we're really creating ambassadors within the league and awarding them for the way they're playing the game. Too many times when, you got like say 150 plays roughly, 130, 150 in every game. And there'll be one play or a player does something wrong. They get flagged, they get fined, and everybody talks about that play. Meanwhile, 99% of the time, everybody else is playing the game right. They're terrific pros. And I really just studying the game all these years, I was like, we're missing an opportunity to build ambassadors within the game, reward them, acknowledge them for playing the game right, doing it right. And so that I still stay on top of the league, watch tape, and make sure that I know what's going on. Because I tell people all the time, I don't care how long you played, I don't care how good you are. The second that you're removed from this league for 2 years, not studying tape, you are irrelevant in knowing what's going on, just because there's so much change and turnover, and the game evolves so much.
Merrill Hodge with us, of course, former Pittsburgh Steeler analyst and now coach for Your Call Football in town tonight here in Jacksonville, Florida, which is pretty cool. Again, you got to check it out if you get the opportunity to do so, and it's a month-long deal once a week. Let me ask you about the Jaguars. They're looking for a quarterback, it looks like. Any surprise on your end that the Blake Bortles experiment did not work? And what you just said is you can't get away from this game. This game seems like it's changing more and more over the last couple of years than ever before. It probably isn't, but it feels that way because of the way the offense is exploding. What would you do if you're the Jags at the QB spot? Would you go with a young guy, or do you try to go get a Nick Foles type?
Well, if you get Nick Foles, here's what you know about Nick Foles. You know he can play in the NFL. Okay, the one thing you don't know about young guys is no matter how talented they are, can they play? When Bortles came out, I actually liked Bortles. I'll be real honest with you. There's some intangibles, though. That's why the combine is so important. It's not to watch them do a bunch of drills and athletic events. It has nothing to do with football. It would be the time that I got to spend with the player and talk to them, find out where their IQ level was, or their passion was. Those detailed things are far more important at combine, from my perspective, than watching them run around in shorts and do something they're never going to do on a football field. But, that being said, if you had a choice and they could get Nick Foles, okay, he can play. You don't have to be concerned about, okay, is this guy going to transition? So obviously that would be, from my perspective, that would be an awesome way to be able to reset your team. Because the one thing that was the difference between your team a year ago and then last year. One of the most important things in the NFL, which has never changed yet, and honestly I don't know will ever change, what makes the NFL so unique is that you must be able to control the tempo in the NFL to win consistently. And that's, if you go back and look when you guys went to the AFC Championship game, you could do that in a variety of ways, a couple different ways. You dominated the offensive line with how you ran the football, and you could stop the run. If you can do those two things, right there, the odds of you winning in the NFL are significantly increased. Now, you still have to have complements to that, and that's where Blake Bortles really has not played very well. He's never complemented that enough. He hasn't been consistent enough, and that's why they've got to move in a different direction. So you got a lot of pieces, that you need. Now can you get those complementary pieces to get you over the hump?
Merrill, my radio sidekick here, Austin Lane, who played for the Jags, he just says he just pumped his fist because he says it all the time, because we're talking about this style and like a Kyler Murray, or I think you got to go get weapons if you're the Jags. Go get Antonio Brown or something. But he seriously just pumped his fist when you said that, because he says all the time, run the ball, stop the run, enough said. He agrees with you.
I'm going to say this. It sounds boring, but people to understand what we're talking about in the NFL, the environment, like people talk about, they always talk about the SEC is like the NFL. It ain't nothing like the NFL. I've watched every SEC defense for the last decade. I've never seen any defense in the SEC that looks like an NFL defense. I've never seen an offense that looks like an NFL offense. And then if you look at the field, people forget the field is different. The hash marks are wide in college. The NFL is narrower. College can play the game on the perimeter. In the National Football League, you got to play in the middle. And there's so many things that balance out, because my athlete's just as good as your athlete. Whereas in college, my athlete's better than your athlete a lot of the time. So when you look at those particulars, it's most important in the NFL that you control the tempo the best you can. If you look at the Patriots' history, the Super Bowls they have actually won, they've had that element to them. The times they have lost, it has been the thing they have missed. You look at when they were undefeated. If you look at that back at that Super Bowl, had the Patriots just chose to have some type of running attack to take advantage of how the Giants were trying to match up to them, actually, the Patriots probably would have blown their doors off.
Yeah.
Because the Giants went into that game, and they're like, okay, the running game's not even an option, which obviously speaks to how great the Patriots were to be able to just keep that game the way it was with just that one phase, and it speaks to why Brady is so great. But they didn't even think about it. It wasn't even a part of their game. And then that's where they redirect their focus. And every Super Bowl they have won, that has been a big vital component to what they've done. And history shows you, like, running the football, being able to stop it, it's so critical. If you can't do those things, it's just hard to win consistently in our league.
Merrill, you kind of talked about a little while before where you mentioned where if you haven't watched film in the past 2 years, you're kind of out of the loop, especially with offenses now being high-powered and whatnot, and which I completely agree with you. You kind of mentioned a little bit the importance to run the ball. Are we starting to see, though, that the fact that teams that want to run the ball first as opposed to passing are kind of dying out? And do you think there is still a league for teams that want to be that power run team, kind of run it down your throat? Because don't get me wrong, I think in the playoffs it's vital, but in the regular season I tend to think that you want that more high-powered offense. What do you think about that?
Well, listen, I think you can be explosive both ways. I look at my team, how we've kind of built it. We don't have the time to really put it in all of the complexities of a pro offense. But if you looked at how I'm setting our offense up and how we built our offense, like, everything is predicated on running the football. Now, with that, everything that's truly a complement is really kind of an explosive element to it. If you look at the Patriots, they were predominantly run action. Okay, that can't be more vanilla in football. That cannot be more generic and old-fashioned in football. So, it always does matter of your personnel too. I mean, every team based on your personnel strengths, you have to be able to cater to that. You know, what is good. You know, if you don't have power backs, well, don't put power in and counter in. You know, but you can do outside perimeter runs. Your running game can be very much perimeter oriented, and you can be very effective running the football. And if you have power guys like, you know, you guys have, obviously you can do those types of things. I think there's different ways to run the football and be very effective and be explosive off of it.
Merrill Hodge with us, and as we wrap up, Merrill, it strikes me as we're talking to you here that when you were an analyst especially, you didn't mind mixing it up with the fans and not necessarily – I don't know if you, like, asked for it. You just gave your opinion, and then a lot of times you'd get – obviously the Tebow stuff comes to mind. But now you've got the fans trying to help you win a football game tonight.
Right.
There's an irony there.
Well, you know, if you go back to when I was an analyst, here's what I try to tell people all the time. I'm only telling you what the tape says. You know, I'm just a messenger. It isn't like I woke up one day and I'm like, okay, when you look at Tim Tebow's throwing motion, it's just so bad. That right there is going to expose him. He's not very accurate, and he's not a very good decision maker. Like, those are the three most critical things to transition to the NFL. And I'm just giving you an example. I didn't make that up. I mean, the tape was loud and clear. That's what it was. That doesn't mean he's not a good person. It has nothing to do with him as a person. But people act like it's an attack on him as a person. It has absolutely nothing to it. I've met him, talked to him before. Couldn't think he's a greater guy. His skill sets just didn't transition, and they're not good enough to be consistent enough to be successful in the NFL over a long period of time.
Yeah. It was always honest and forthright, and we always appreciate that. And we appreciate you joining us, man. I'm excited about this thing. We're going to check it out tonight.
Well, I appreciate it. If you guys watch the game, just going to tell you, it's our first game. I'm going to give you a bundle. There's going to be a power play on there. Select that power play. It'll start our game off right.
Okay,
you
power
got it.
Play. There
power
it is.
Play it is.
There's the advice from Merrill Hodge. Good luck tonight, 8 o'clock at Daly's Place right here in Jacksonville. Thanks for joining us.
You betcha. Thank you, guys.
All right. Merrill Hodge, former Pittsburgh Steeler analyst, and he was always honest, man. He would mix it up even with folks down in Jacksonville, no doubt about it. So a fun conversation with Merrill Hodge. Once again, if you want to check this thing out, go to yourcallfootball.com for all the information. But it's as simple, really, as this YCF app, Your Call Football app, and also barstoolsports.com will show the game tonight at 8 o'clock. We get a lot of things that cross our desk. And this one came across, and I checked. I'm going to genuinely say I was intrigued by it.
For sure.
It was like going to, like, you know, BW3s or a restaurant where you play the trivia. Mm-hmm. It almost feels a little bit like that, and he likened it to Madden. Of course, it's more like that.
Yeah.
But then you can win money from doing it.
Absolutely.
You know? So I thought it was pretty cool, and I'll be interested to see how it plays out tonight and over the next month here in Jacksonville. But check it out tonight, 8 o'clock. On barstoolsports.com or YCF app. More to come, including more from the NFL Combine and some story time with Austin Lane on Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690.
ESPN 690 Sports Center Update.
I'm Aaron, and it's been nearly 2 weeks since Manny Machado signed his big deal, and now we finally have breaking news on the Bryce Harper front.
MLB.com reported about 3 o'clock this morning that Bryce met with the Dodgers last night. If the Dodgers, in fact, get serious about Harper, it would likely be on a very short-term deal.
The Phillies are still believed the front runner on this one, but beside the Dodgers, other teams that have shown interest are the Giants, the White Sox, and the Nationals. The AP Top 25 is just out. New number 1 for the second week in a row. Gonzaga pops to the number 1 spot after Duke fell to UNC. Virginia back in the number 2, while Florida State also drops. They're in the 18th spot now after losing to the Tar Heels over the weekend as well. And the Timberwolves' Karl Anthony Towns on the mend after his car was blasted on the highway by a semi-truck. Towns has cleared concussion protocol. Will suit up tonight against the Kings. Stream us anytime, 24/7. Just go to ESPN690.com and hit Listen Live.
Hi, it's Nathan from Gordon Chevy in Orange Park, where our no bull pricing and express sales process will have you out the door in a new Chevy fast. No bull means fast, fair, and transparent. It's what you can always expect at Gordon Chevy. And right now, take up to $10,000 off the 19 new body-style Silverado crew cabs and up to $12,000 off the 19 previous body Silverados. Only at the money-saving end of Blanding and online at GordonChevy.com. Chevy, find new roads.
From Daytona Beach to Brunswick, now ESPN can be heard loud and clear everywhere on one of the most powerful AM radio stations in Florida. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. This is ESPN 690.
You watch Action Sports Jax on CBS 47 and Fox 30.
Now Action Sports Jax is on your radio. Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anajar and Levine studios. Here's your host, Brent Martineau.
Hey, welcome back. Good catching up with Merrill Hodge. And again, they didn't pay me to say it. I think it's kind of a cool deal. That thing, check it out tonight. I think Stuart Weber will be over there as well. I don't have a great feel for it, but at the same time, I'm intrigued by it. So it's funny. It's people come up with all these different ideas, and it's amazing. And we got football all over the place. Like I looked at the roster, and I'll be honest with you, the roster-wise, I was like, you may have heard of some of the folks, especially if it's from your favorite team. I mean, a lot of them are from big universities, but it wasn't like, oh, yeah, that guy, kind of like we're seeing in the AAF.
Yeah, I think the research that I did, only 2 players from like the rosters last year actually made it to the league and signed a contract and whatnot. I'm not sure if they're still on the teams or not, but yeah, there's an opportunity. I mean, anytime you get a chance to put some film out there, you might as well take it if you have the opportunity.
And you play a little ball, and these are like it's a short little month-long thing.
Sure.
So I don't think, Merrill said it too, it's not like this long training camp and you got a lot of time to put stuff together. It's pretty low-key when it comes to that. So
it's got to be easy being a coach too, because you're literally calling what the fans call, so there's no pressure on you whatsoever.
Well, interestingly enough, though, what he said was at least coming up with the bundles of plays. There feels like there's some pressure because you got to make it good for the fans or what plays that they would like. I'm sure you get a lot of feedback left and right. Everybody wants their favorite play, but you have 1 of 3 to pick from, and you better be a good decision maker. You only have 10 seconds to do it.
Well, the players still have to go out there and do their thing too. So it's not just the coaches are sitting back and chilling. I mean, they still have a job to do. But what else do we learn with that conversation, Brent? We've heard it again. Stop the run, run the ball, and you win.
Yeah, and he's I don't really classify Merrill Hodge old school, new school guy. I just think he's kind of straightforward, and he said it at the end. He said, "Hey, I just see what I see on tape. Messenger, that's it." And I think he for everybody, Tom Coughlin included, who said it at the end of last year or the middle of last year, and people raised their eyebrows at it, especially since it followed a 54-51 game. I think what we saw in the Super Bowl, what we saw from the New England Patriots, and everybody witnessed that they were a power running team by the end, kind of opened everybody else's eyes and said, oh, okay, I get it. I mean, you can keep the ball for 41 minutes against the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, it was still a 38-31 game in overtime, but you kept the ball away from them because you were a power running team. And then 13-3, you controlled the clock. You controlled the tempo. You were able to do things out of the power running game in the Super Bowl. And listen, we've all said it. If the Patriots wanted to go toe-to-toe with people and go and not play that way and not control the clock, they're not that great.
No.
I mean, they're not. From a roster by roster,
from
up
a
and down that thing.
Playability, explosiveness, they don't really have it like they had back in the day with Gronk being 100%.
Yeah.
Chris Hogan being able to take the top off. He's kind of, I mean, I don't want to say he's limited, but it's not the same Chris Hogan that you saw like 3 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, they are just so good at picking their spots. And even in a game where they didn't play well in the Super Bowl, I think Tom Brady did not play well. He still was picked his spots, and when the time came to cash in, they are so good at cashing in. They know how to make the big plays. So it'll be interesting. Though, that being said, we just spent last week hearing from Tom Coughlin and talking about this revitalization of the playbook. So what I think we have to, if there's one thing our society today has taught us, and I think wrongfully so, is that everything is absolute. Everything is either this way or that way. Well, it's not. And I think what the Jags could prove this year is they can still be a power running team that wants to run the football and stop the run on defense, but you can still morph into this explosive kind of offense when needed. That's what I loved about 2017 with the Jags. If you go back to that year, they were 6th, I think, in total offense. And if you look at the scores of their games, they beat some people, obviously, when their defense did the job and their offense stunk. They also beat some people when they controlled the clock for 40 minutes in a game. And then they would beat some people when all of a sudden coming out of the gates.
Yeah.
Blake Bortles in that December for 3 weeks was throwing it all over the yard and doing a pretty nice job of it. So they could win in a variety of ways. That's what I always say about the Patriots, and I think we said it during Super Bowl week. They can beat you they can be a chameleon and morph into whatever you need them to that week. That's the beauty of the New England Patriots over this 2-decade run. And I think in 2017, the Jags had an element of that where I don't think if they went week by week, you threw it 50 times, they were going to win the games they did. But they could at times surprise some people with their passing game and pick their right spots and make plays. It's what they did 2 years ago. It's what they have to find a way to be able to do no matter who the QB is this year.
And this past year obviously was atrocious. So when Tom Coughlin comes out and says they're going to take a look at their offense, maybe change some philosophies, I wouldn't put too much stake into that. They're still going to be a power running team. They're still going to set up the pass with the run. It's just the fact that they were so abysmal last year where Coughlin had to come out and say something because we can't have a repeat performance of last year. So I think that's just more of just saying, listen, we sucked last year. I mean, Blake Bortles is probably a huge part of that. But at the same time, we got to make some changes as well and maybe add a few wrinkles, I guess, here and there.
Yeah, they added John DeFilippo, but what they do here in the next couple of weeks in free agency, what they do in the draft will surely dictate and will anticipate going into the fall how much will change based on their personnel. All right, we had a quick one there because we went along with Merrill Hodge, but I promise you story time. We got one story of many coming up from the NFL Combine. Get comfortable, everybody. Austin Lane up next. It's a breaking NHL news, apparently, on ESPN 690.
It's Golick and Wingo.
Hall of Famer Tony Dungy.
Rooney Rule in place. A lot of people say it's not working. What's going on with this, and what could be the remedy for this?
Ron Rivera, minority defensive coach, has been to a Super Bowl. Mike Tomlin, minority defensive coach, has won a Super Bowl. Anthony Lynn, minority running back coach. So that just kind of echoes my point. It doesn't have to be quarterback coach.
Golick and Wingo, weekday mornings at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN2.
Hey everybody, this is Brent Martineau. If you've received a letter from the IRS and cannot pay them, things can get bad quickly. The IRS can seize your bank accounts and garnish your wages. If this is you, contact J. David Tax Law, a local firm right here in Jacksonville. Recently voted the best tax attorney in Jacksonville by Folio Weekly readers and selected as an ultimate tax attorney by the Jacksonville Business Journal. Your first step to stop IRS harassment is a no-cost consultation. They explain exactly your options and how they'll resolve your tax issue. Only trust an experienced and award-winning tax firm to represent you. The fastest way to get started is to call 904-507-4777. Peace of mind is only a click or phone call away, also online at jdavidtaxlaw.com. Only trust an experienced and award-winning tax firm to represent you by calling this number again, 904-507-4777, or online at jdavidtaxlaw.com.
It's time for some straight talk. Picture this. Your favorite team is playing. You're streaming the game. 10 seconds left. Your team shoots. Oops, your data runs out.
Look, don't let that happen. Switch to Straight Talk Wireless and get 25 gigs of high-speed data, all on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks.
Join Team Straight Talk and get unlimited talk and text plus 25 gigs of high-speed data for just $45 a month.
Straight Talk Wireless, everything for less, only at Walmart.
First 25 gigs at high speed, then 2G. See terms at straighttalk.com.
That bathroom upgrade is within reach at the Winter Kitchen and Bath event now at the Home Depot. Starting with the exclusive Pfister Venturi Bath Faucet. It's a two-handle, widespread brushed nickel faucet with a spot defense finish that resists water spots and fingerprints. And right now, you can get your hands on one for just $119. So upgrade your bathroom and let the savings flow. The Winter Kitchen and Bath event at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Valid through March 24th while supplies last.
You know you love the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
We've got limited bathrooms here in the building, and sometimes on occasion, if they have a room empty, I'm allowed to go in between shows and use a bathroom to freshen up. I hear people coming in, and I'm just yelling, "Wait a minute!" But my plan gets exposed when I hear, "Hey, Dan Le Batard!"
The Dan Le Batard Show, now 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPNradio.com.
Now, back to Action Sports Jax with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
Really, Coos? That was the NHL breaking news?
It literally happened like right as you were getting out.
What do you think?
Earth-shattering news.
I mean, earth-shattering.
For me,
you know
that's
why?
big.
Because he's a Flyers guy.
Wayne Simmons was like my dude. I loved Wayne Simmons on the Flyers.
Sure.
What place are the Flyers in?
Oh, dude, I don't even know.
They have one of the best mascots in the game, though.
Gritty, dude.
Gritty.
Gritty's legit.
He's also made of all the nightmares in the world. So, Kuz, what are your thoughts about Gritty? Are you a fan of Gritty, or are you kind of taken back?
So
Doesn't he have to be?
I went on this emotional roller coaster with Gritty. I started out thinking it was the worst decision ever, and then the internet decided it was also horrible, and then I loved him because the internet hated him, and I was like, all right, if everyone hates him, I gotta love him. He's my guy.
He just did a promotion with the Players' Championship, so he's playing the 17th hole. Did you see that?
No.
Is he really?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Well, it was like...
I'm kind of upset.
I mean, it wasn't kind of real, I don't think.
I was going to say, I'm kind of upset I didn't know he was out of gone.
Get his autograph. Get a picture.
Yeah, get a picture with him.
Those eyes, man.
It's the simple things in life.
It's hard not to sleep if you see that before bedtime.
Well, then he fell on the ice the very first night, and that just propelled him even more. Yeah.
Hey, ESPN 30 for 30. Can we get a Broad Street Bullies documentary, please?
That would be a good one.
Because I know HBO did one, and for those of you that aren't really hockey fans that don't know what I'm talking about, the Broad Street Bullies were Kuz, maybe help me if I'm mistaken this, but a 70s team from the Flyers where they were kind of hurting on money and whatnot with the salary cap, so they basically just had the philosophy to bring in all goons to their team, and they ended up winning the whole Stanley Cup because of all these goons that were fighting and whatnot.
It was just fight everybody. Yeah, literally be bullies. I love it.
Yeah.
It's a very Philly mindset.
Sometimes the bullies do win.
Sometimes they do. That's not, we don't root for them, but sometimes they do.
Yep.
Stat Boy's back.
Oh.
Yeah, we got a stat.
Making sure he's still alive in the basement.
Yeah,
man.
He's back.
He hasn't checked in a while.
It's been a little bit. But a little golf news. Dustin Johnson just got his 20th tour win at the age of 34. Tiger Woods had 20 by the age of 24. How about that?
Tiger Woods is that good.
Yeah, Tiger Woods pretty good. Dustin Johnson, though, clean. That's a good field of golf down in Mexico, and he crushed the field. Tiger had some putting problems, but it didn't matter. He wasn't going to win. Rory McIlroy was good, but didn't matter. He wasn't going to win. I mean, DJ, when he's on, oof. And the elevation change, I don't know if you saw any of that golf tournament, but the elevation change played such a huge role. I mean, they were hitting 328-yard 2-irons and 369-yard driver to the green within 5 feet. Dang. Dustin Johnson did. It's crazy. I'm surprised the elevation. I said this over the weekend watching it. I've played in some elevation, and it does carry. The ball carries more. But I guess just because they hit it so far and you're talking longer distances, so the spread even gets further and further away. But the elevation change was huge. I mean, some 30, 40 yards at times in terms of the real calculation of a golf club on a normal elevation.
And even in Denver, you can kind of see that with the kickers and whatnot. But you think a football is a lot heavier than a golf ball. So
true, and I think that's why
can travel that long.
I think that's why I mean, just do the math a little bit, right? The variation. If you hit a golf ball, the variation between what you hit at normal sea level and the elevation is a lot more than the football, right? It's a couple yards in football, maybe.
And then we're talking Mexico, too. I know there's some spots, I'm not sure exactly what city they played at, but I know there's some spots in Mexico that it's another mile higher, actually, than Denver even is. So the elevation's crazy.
Amazing. All right. Well, good to hear from Stat Boy, by the way.
Yeah.
And Tiger Woods will take this week off. Then he's got the Arnold Palmer, then the Players' Championship. One thing about keep an eye on with the Players' Championship, if he does play well, if he wins, Arnold Palmer's a place he plays well all the time. And if he were to win there, he would come to the Players' Championship needing a win to tie Sam Snead for 82 career wins, which would be kind of a cool storyline. It doesn't matter. Tiger's going to be a storyline no matter what, but it'd be an added storyline for the week of the Players' Championship.
I had a quick question for you here with Stat Boy. And this is a safe space, Brent. So feel free to be honest. Me and Kuz love you very much.
It's not me.
I was gonna say, is Stat Boy like an alter ego? I mean, it's kind of like a Fight Club situation we got going on here.
That's a heck of an idea.
I'm just saying.
That's actually a heck of an idea.
Because he's talking about golf all the time. Brent loves golf. Maybe this is his way of getting golf into the show every single episode.
We got to go see when people talk negatively about the show, if Stat Boy's chiming in. And
that's a good idea.
A burner account.
I probably wouldn't do it. Those stats isn't a bad idea to do it. I'm trying to think now. Now you got me thinking, what should I do a burner account for so that I could play another role in the show?
Yeah. I mean, we don't have to hate on Coos anymore because a lot of people do that already on Twitter. So we don't need any more Coos hate. I'm gonna get back to you on that one, Brent.
Yeah, think about it.
I'll get back to you on that one.
But maybe, especially if I get a role in the fight on March 16th and we win, this is a we. By the way, when we win.
Yeah.
Now, if there is the improbable loss, it's not a we anymore. That's on you.
No, it's you. I'm blaming you.
But when we win,
the ice was too cold.
Then I'm already the Iceman, right?
Yeah,
so like I'm gonna have maybe my alter ego on Twitter will have something to do with that.
There we go. Now we're talking.
But now it's too obvious. I can't give it away.
We'll think of something.
I like it though.
Like I got it. You're the Iceman, so when someone tweets a really hot take, you just reply with a gif of someone cooling it down.
You cool it off. You just kind of kill the whole vibe and everything.
Just like,
I like
whatever it is, it's just something with ice to try
Iceman
to cool down the take.
Again. Yeah,
we're gonna have to think this up. I got to be able to live up to it all the time, not just for like a week. So it's got to be a long-term deal. Also, I don't know if I could live up to that. I tweet enough stupid crap. All right. For me to have to try another account to tweet. I mean, it's like I tweet enough, number one, and enough dumb stuff that I probably don't need another account.
Okay.
To do it some more. All right. Hey, I promised some story time. So before we hit the next one, get us going. You'll probably we're gonna get you like for 2 stories a day, probably
2 stories a day.
But I want to know about the combine. Again, you know how I feel about it. I'm going up to the combine for the first time ever. First time for me.
Yeah.
Leave tomorrow night. We'll be there for a couple of days. We'll have the show there Wednesday and Thursday. But I want to know the player side of things. What was this experience like for you, and where do you want to take us on story time?
Sure. Well,
we don't need music. Just grab your coffee, get in a comfortable spot.
Yeah.
And the floor
is
relax. Austin Lanes.
So, Brent, I kind of discussed earlier in the show where I'm going to start from the beginning. So I'm going to set the scene here, set the story of how this all came about, and everything like that. So. I left school a semester early because I didn't redshirt my freshman year. So I went to API in Pensacola to do my combine training. I had the option of staying at Murray State. Well, obviously being Murray State, no knock on them, but the facilities weren't exactly the best for what I needed to do. So I opted to go to API in Pensacola. That was with the advice of my agent. Roomed with Danny D. Brick Batten from South Dakota State, who's another outside linebacker / defensive end. I think he got drafted in the 6th or 7th round. We called him D-Brick because he took our rent-a-car, which was a nice GMC Suburban, took the Suburban to the airport because he had an All-Star game playing the Shrine game, locked his equipment in the car without getting it out first, and locked the keys in the car, obviously. So he took a brick. He found a brick someplace in the parking lot and smashed out our window in a rent-a-car, and then because he had to go to the Shrine game from the airport, so I had to go take a cab to the airport to get the vehicle with the window smashed out. So obviously then I had to go to the rent-a-car place and take care of that, even though it wasn't my fault. So that was D-Brick.
By the way, Suburban, not a bad little rental car for you guys.
It was a brand new one too, yeah. Spacious. Very, very spacious.
That's some agent money talking.
Yeah. And the place, have you ever been to API? Probably not.
I haven't, no.
So API, it's right on the beach in Pensacola. If you've ever been to Pensacola, they have really they have nice white sand beaches and whatnot. So state-of-the-art center, actually Dr. James Andrews, the place where he does surgery, the world-renowned surgeon, his office is right next to the API. So kind of set the scene of how nice it is.
Is that a bad omen kind of thing?
It could be. I didn't think about that until you mentioned it. And it kind of explains a lot of things now. But, some of the teammates that I had were like the guys I was training with, Terrence Cody from Alabama, if you remember him.
Yeah. Big dude in the middle.
Huge dude. The thing with Terrence Cody was always had a dip in. We would be like, we'd be doing the bench press or we'd be sprinting, and he'd have like the biggest dip in ever, man. I'm like, how? And I'm not gonna lie, I've dipped before, occasionally when I play football. Everyone dips in football. But the fact that he'd be like bench pressing and whatnot while he's dipping is
running sprints
on a
dipping.
different level. Yeah, well, I mean, he wasn't really running sprints because he was kind of a bigger dude.
I was gonna say,
but also we had Colin Peak from Alabama, tight end. We had Chris Cook, DB from Virginia, who went 2nd round to the Vikings, I believe. We had Mike Williams, who was an interesting character for the fact that he was a wide receiver from Syracuse. I want to say Tampa Bay took him, if I'm not mistaken. But he didn't play his senior year due to some kind of discrepancies with I didn't find out the story, but basically what happened was is they would have private investigators come by looking for him to make sure he was kind of staying in line.
Oh,
so like we'd be out to like restaurants and whatnot, and we see people like in the corner like, oh, that's probably a private investigator looking for Mike. So that was kind of weird that teams would actually hire private investigators to make sure he's training and whatnot.
Oh, there you go. There's your first like, whoa, there's a story.
Yeah.
That's some work now.
Yeah. So
some other hire enough for Justin Blackman, I guess.
Yeah. Other guys, we had Clifton Geathers from South Carolina, who was the biggest, most physical specimen, I'm not exaggerating here, that I've ever seen in my entire life. He was 6'8" and 290, defensive end from South Carolina. Do you know like the air compressed machines and the squat racks they have sometimes? We used to have them in the stadium. I think Milo got rid of them. But basically, for those of you that are listening that don't really understand what I'm talking about, imagine like if you're at like the YMCA, if you're at like a World's Gym, and it's an air compressed squat machine. So imagine like a calf raiser machine where it goes over your shoulders. Well, it's just like this, except with this machine, you can actually squat with it. So it's all air compressed. There's no free weights. And you can control the air to have more weight or less weight, with your hands or whatever like that. So we'd always do that. It's a lot easier on your joints and whatnot. A lot of teams use them. Well, Clifton Geathers had about 315 pounds loaded. Not a lot of weight, but what we're working with. And I told you he's 6'8", 290, and he was straight muscle. He was so tall and so explosive that he lifted up the 315 and actually broke the shoulder compress on top of it and broke the machine, like shattered it. It was absolutely insane. Like
it couldn't handle him.
Dude, it couldn't handle him. It was I remember just sitting there just like, because I was there when it happened. I was like, okay, this guy's the real deal.
Hey, you don't have to hurry up your story.
No, so we had Clifton Geathers, and the last guy I'm going to tell you about, I got a story coming up after this break. He was a Heisman Trophy winner.
Oh.
And as far as his running form, not top notch, and he always got made fun of this. So when we get back, the Heisman Trophy winner gets announced.
Oh, there's a tease. NFL Combine Talk. Story time continues with Austin Lane. Coming up on Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690. You can check us out on ESPN690.com as well, or our Facebook page, ESPN 690.
ESPN 690 Sports Center Update.
I'm Aaron, and it's been nearly 2 weeks since Manny Machado signed his big deal, and now we finally have breaking news on the Bryce Harper front.
MLB.com reported about 3 o'clock this morning that Bryce met with the Dodgers last night. If the Dodgers, in fact, get serious about Harper, it would likely be on a very short-term deal.
The Phillies are still believed the front runner on this one, but beside the Dodgers, other teams that have shown interest are the Giants, the White Sox, and the Nationals. The AP Top 25 is just out. New number 1 for their second week in a row. Gonzaga pops to the number 1 spot after Duke fell to UNC. Virginia back in the number 2, while Florida State also drops. They're in the 18th spot now after losing to the Tar Heels over the weekend as well. And the Timberwolves' Karl Anthony Towns on the mend after his car was blasted on the highway by a semi-truck. Towns has cleared concussion protocol. Will suit up tonight against the Kings. Stream us anytime, 24/7. Just go to ESPN690.com and hit Listen Live.
Hey, everybody, this is Brent Martineau from ESPN 690 and Action Sports Jax, and we know who the football team of the year is. Yep, the Patriots again. What you may not know is my friends at the brand new Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville have the North American Utility Vehicle of the Year. They raise that trophy. It's the new 2019 Hyundai Kona, and this is a super slick crossover utility vehicle. I encourage you to swing by the Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville showroom on Atlantic Boulevard and take a look at this new crossover utility vehicle. The Kona is offered in 4 trim levels: the SE, the SEL, the Limited, and the Ultimate. Go see my friends at the new Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville and schedule a test drive and order the new Konas today. And remember, Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville is the home of the 7-day money-back guarantee and offers the limited lifetime warranty that's good anywhere in the United States. Visit the showroom and visit them online at JenkinsHyundaiofJacksonville.com.
Want to get your hands on some of the best gently used luxury clothing, home goods, and furniture? There is no bigger sale than the Junior League of Jacksonville's Whale of a Sale, Saturday, March 2nd at the Jacksonville Fairgrounds. It's the largest resale event with funds from each purchase reinvested into our First Coast community. Entry is only $2 and parking is only $5. Can't wait to get your hands on the hottest deals in town? Get exclusive VIP access to the sale during the league's preview party on March 1st. Tickets are now on sale at jljacksonville.org.
Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anajar and Levine studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. ESPN 690. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio. WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, a Cox Media Group station.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Breaking news. Patriots owner Robert Kraft officially charged today with 2 counts of first-degree solicitation of prostitution in Florida as part of a crackdown on human trafficking. One of the days Kraft was seen on video surveillance at the Orchids of Asia Day Spa was January 20th, the same day the Patriots beat the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. Earlier today, the NFL in a statement on Kraft said the personal conduct policy applies equally to everyone. And when it comes to the league's discipline for Kraft, keep an eye on 2 bodies, explains MMQB's Albert Breer.
The commissioner. And obviously there's been some infighting between the commissioner and Kraft. But at the end of the day, Kraft is an incredibly important sounding board. And I think most people would tell you Kraft was largely responsible for conducting his job in 2006. Then, of course, the other people that would have a say in how all this goes are the other NFL owners.
Albert Breer on the Will Kane Show. A spokesman for Kraft said on Friday they categorically denied he engaged in any illegal activity. College basketball, Duke's Zion Williamson, knee sprain, out tomorrow night versus Virginia Tech.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all of your car care needs. We're close, convenient, and known for our guaranteed everyday low prices and excellent customer service from professional parts people you can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
You watch Action Sports Jax on CBS 47 and Fox 30.
Now Action Sports Jax is on your radio. Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anajar and Levine studios. Here's your host, Brent Martineau.
I'm typing.
Okay, sorry, man. I don't know if you're typing, if you're thinking about me and Kuz's conversation that we're having.
No, I
with
totally
the
tuned
Umbrella
out.
Academy.
I totally tuned out. Listen, it felt like I was watching the Oscars again last night. Gosh, what a waste of 4 hours of my life.
What are you getting in the Oscars
I didn't even watch them.
Can we get the happy hour horn in here?
Oh, I forgot about the... Grab a drink, get a shot, and tip your Startenders. Happy Monday.
Yeah, happy Monday.
That's a Monday one. We're good with
That's
that.
a Monday one. Yeah.
It's like he gets so mad if he doesn't do it in a different language.
I know, man. I'm trying to keep it fresh and exciting.
The crazy thing is, like, he actually has, like, the Google Translate or whatever out and trying to get the different language. It's pretty
Sometimes
funny.
I do that. So the Oscars, you weren't a fan, huh?
Listen, I was watching the red carpet stuff just because it was on in the office.
That's your first mistake.
And I have no idea who anybody is until Alex Rodriguez and J-Lo get on the red carpet.
Man. Didn't you see Jason Momoa?
Then you could have
He had a scrunchie on.
You could have
My
put
twin looking good too, by the way.
Like, by the way,
like that pink suit.
next time, Oscar people, when there's a person on what we in the business call a super, which is basically the graphic that says the name.
Yeah.
Please put the graphic up so we can figure out who the hell it is.
Yeah.
We don't know these people.
With some of them, they just assume you're supposed to know who Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper are. You know what I mean?
I could do that, but they hadn't come yet on the stage or on the red carpet. And that moment was a little.
Oh, the whole Lady Gaga. His wife was right there. Sir.
I know.
Well, she's got to be used to that.
Yeah, I mean, he is Bradley Cooper.
What's the overall? I haven't read all the stuff on it. I know people were making fun of the moment a little bit, but did they like the performance or not? What was it?
I think most people
were pretty
liked
impressed
it.
with Bradley Cooper's performance.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it was decent.
I was impressed
that
too,
song, though.
but for Lady Gaga to say, there's not one person on earth I'd rather do that with, or would be perfect to do this.
I know.
Come on now. I mean, listen, he did a fine job, but there's probably 500 people you'd rather hear sing that than him.
And I'm just going to say right now, that song "Shallow" that I've heard a million times now, it's taken from the song from Little Mermaid, where it's like shallow. That's sha-na-na-na, kiss the girl. It's the same thing. It is the same thing.
Is it really taken from there?
It's got to be.
I respect that
Kiss the girl. I know what you're talking about.
I respect that
I told you I know
so
those
much.
Disney movies.
That's what I'm saying. Sha-na-na-na, shallow.
That scene, though, that they did, I think they actually did that whole scene live at Coachella. Like, they actually went out and performed it to get the actual shots for it, which
Sure.
I respect that. That's pretty cool.
I'm just saying they stole that song from
That's fair.
Little Mermaid.
Every
Kiss the
song
girl.
is essentially stolen from another song at this
I
point.
will say, the Oscars falls on a perfect night. I literally said, what's on TV right now? And it's like There's nothing.
Not a dang thing.
I mean, there's nothing. There are some things that fall on like the absolute perfect night. You know, like All-Star game in baseball. There's nothing going on those 3 days in sports. There really isn't. So it gets it's a perfect time frame. And there's other examples of this, but that does. Like, I saw the ratings last night. Ratings were pretty good. I mean, really good.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not surprised. There's really nothing else going on TV. Even if you wanted sports, I think there might have been an NBA game on or something, but nothing. There was also, I think, an AAF game on NFL Network, but it wasn't Orlando, so I was a little less interested in it. There wasn't a lot on.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to go dig deep.
Wasn't a lot of options.
No, you either got to go watch a movie or watch the Oscars and all the movies that nobody's ever heard of.
I watched.
That's all I did. I haven't, honestly, for Best Picture, the only ones that I saw were Black Panther and the Bohemian Rhapsody one. Everything else, I had no idea.
Somebody over the weekend I saw said they loved Bohemian Rhapsody. Did you like it?
It was good. I think it was that great.
See, I don't think I'd like it. I just don't. I want to see it.
Yeah.
If people say it's good, and I always like to see the ones that I'm not much of a movie critic, so I'll probably enjoy it regardless.
Yeah.
But especially if it's up for Best Picture and all that stuff, I'll try it.
So the dude that played Freddie Mercury won Best Actor, won the Oscar for that, which I think his name is Rami Malek.
Malek.
Yeah. So that was cool to see because I actually watched a show with him called Mr. Robot. It's on USA. Really good show with him. Probably some of his best work. Actually, thought he was good in Freddie Mercury. Watch Mr. Robot and get back to me.
Mr. Robot. I only watched season 1, but it was awesome.
What happened?
I have so many other shows that I watch, and
it's obviously if you're watching this Umbrella thing or whatever.
Yeah, Umbrella Academy.
Easy on the Umbrella Academy, man. Umbrella Academy is the real deal.
Is it good?
I've never seen it. I just read it. No. I've read the novels. I've read the novels. That's what me and Kuz are talking about. I haven't. See, I'm hesitant to watch the show because I've read like the graphic novels, so I don't want the show to ruin what I read.
It's good. I didn't read, though, so I don't know where it's coming from that angle. But the other thing for people listening is My Chemical Romance is
the lead singer, Gerald Way.
The lead singer made it.
Jared Way.
This show's gone off the rails. Enough Oscar
Sorry,
talk.
Brad, you've lost all control of the situation.
Can we get back to story time at the Combine? I'm more interested in this. You teased the Heisman Trophy winner. I figure you got to be talking about Tebow. You came in that same class with Tebow, right? 2010.
That I did.
So give us the rest of this now.
Yeah,
here's
so
the rest of
everyone
the
thinks it's Tim Tebow, but if you remember correctly, actually the top pick of that draft was a certain Sam Bradford out of Oklahoma, Heisman Trophy winner. So yeah,
might be future Jaguar.
So yeah, we'll see. We'll see about that. But so Sam Bradford was actually another one of our training partners that came and spent time with us and whatnot. He was coming off a shoulder surgery, so he didn't initially train with us right away. But a few weeks later, then he started to do like all this stuff. And obviously, being a quarterback, he's not going to bench press and do all that. But he did run the 40-yard dash with us. And hey, say what you want about Sam Bradford. Great arm. He's got poise, good leadership. One thing that draft experts were not saying is his ability to run, because he did not possess that ability whatsoever. I remember because like the way it was set up at API in Pensacola was they would like basically record you in slow motion, like super slow motion of like your form coming out of the blocks when you're running the 40-yard dash. So we're all sitting there, all the guys did it, and we're all like, they're analyzing our form. Like, hey, you need to get your hand up a little more. You need to explode out a little more. Cool. Well, Sam Bradford comes up, and it's just, you remember like Bobby Boucher from The Waterboy when they slowed it down? He's running, he's coming. That's exactly what Sam Bradford looked like. And I remember, and I forgot who the guy was, but one of the guys that we were training with, it might have been Terrence Cody. He was like, looks at Sam. He's like, dude, how are you a Heisman Trophy winner? But props to Sam. Obviously, he was the first pick of the draft, so he wasn't.
What do you run the 40 in?
I don't even ran the 40, man, to tell you the truth. But it was funny too because Tim Tebow was like literally scouting locations of where to come train. So one day we're all working out, and all of a sudden, like this entourage, I kid you not, 20 people walk through the door, and who's in the back? It's Tim Tebow, and we're just like, what's going on? Like. And there's cameras and everything. And I guess Tim Tebow was actually looking for a spot to train for the Combine and train for his pro day. So, like, we're trying to get, like, we're bench pressing, doing pull-ups and stuff, and, like, they're walking through us, So it's almost like a distraction for us, like 20 people. And we all just started, telling his group, like, we got Sam Bradford, man. We don't need you here, man. We already got the Heisman Trophy winner here. Like, we don't need you here. So we were kind of talking a little crap to Tebow and Tebow's group. I mean, it was all in good fun and whatnot. But and Bradford had his Heisman Trophy with him because he was at API with Dr. Andrews before the Heisman Trophy night. So he flew to New York or wherever the ceremony was, got the Heisman Trophy, and flew back to Pensacola. So I got to see it, wanted to take it to Subway with me or take it out to the bars, and he wouldn't let me, unfortunately. But that's
pretty cool that he had it there.
Yeah, he had it there. But
was he a good dude?
Dude, I was going to say, from a standpoint, we used to carpool back and forth together. Went to Subway a lot with him. One of the coolest dudes you're ever going to meet, man. I mean, especially being the top pick of the draft. It's funny because out of college, you put these guys on a pedestal. I mean, it's Sam Bradford. There's talks of him going number 1. So you have this guy like he's just going to be like, all world and kind of cocky and just above everybody else. And he was not like that at all. I mean, he was the first guy to crack jokes with us and whatnot. So it's probably from like a personality standpoint, just a solid dude. Sam Bradford's definitely that.
He definitely got the bad omen being next to Dr. James Andrews' facility.
That he did, yeah. That he did.
So maybe you got lucky. It rubbed off on him.
Well, I don't know, man. I ended up having a shoulder surgery at that very same venue.
At the same
so maybe that's a bad omen.
This might be an investigative piece.
Yeah.
How have people done training over there next to that facility?
Point. I mean, forget like Indian burial grounds. Just talk about Dr. Andrews' place, man. That's a real curse right there.
Might be haunted.
Yeah.
4.78 Sam Bradford ran the 40 in.
That's not
flailing
bad.
arms and all.
Yeah, not bad.
Now, here's the question, Kuz, I have for you. We're going to do this quick. Don't look it up. Did Austin Lane run a faster or slower 40 time coming out? Don't answer this. Faster or slower 40 time than the 4.78 Sam Bradford had flailing his arms?
This isn't fair right now because he didn't run the combine. He ran at his pro day. Okay?
You ran at the combine.
I ran at the combine. I'm talking electronically timed. I'm talking everything against you.
Oh, stop giving it away.
The way that you're talking makes me want to say it was slower than that.
Yeah, well, absolutely, because I'm not going to sit here and have Brent, drag my name through the mud right now because I was talking smack about how Sam Bradford ran the 40-yard dash when I ran at the combine, all right? I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to tolerate that.
The question is, could I run the 40 right now faster than Austin Lane ran?
5 flat for sure. Brent Martineau, 5 flat.
What did you run it, do you know?
4.8 something. Yeah. 4.8. 4.8.
We were talking about that the other day.
Yeah, I ran a 4.8, Brent. That's all you need to know.
Well, Google says 4.84.
Well, okay, I'll take that.
That's not bad, though, right? Is that?
I was 276 pounds.
I was gonna say that's not bad.
Yeah, I was fat, man. I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty fat.
Now you're training like Rocky. You might be better than that.
Oh, I mean, hey, a 4.5 maybe, 4.6, Brent. I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but if the Jags need a tight end, we'll see.
Big hands coming out of Iola, Scandinavia in Wisconsin.
Let's go.
All-Stater. Were you All-State?
Oh, yeah. Come on, Brent.
Better have been All-State. You made it to the NFL for crying out loud.
I was All-State. But a funny thing, though, I was unanimous all sectionals, they call it, but I wasn't unanimous all conference because the team, Bowler, shout out to Bowler, Wisconsin, we were beating them 40-0 at halftime, and their coach said either you take Lane out or he's not getting voted all conference. Guess what? Coach Erickson says, "Hey, you're playing third quarter," and I didn't get voted all conference by Bowling.
For the team.
Yeah, I took one for the team, man.
That's awesome. Good story. Hey, coming up next, Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690, ballin' and fallin'. After this.
Action Sports Jax with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 is brought to you by Best Bet Jacksonville and Orange Park.
Hey everybody, this is Brent Martineau. If you've received a letter from the IRS and can't pay them, things can get bad quickly. The IRS can seize your bank account, garnish your wages, and place liens against everything you own. If this is you, contact J. David Tax Law, a local firm right here in Jacksonville. Your first step to stop IRS harassment is a no-cost consultation. They explain exactly your options and how they will resolve your tax issue. Only highly experienced tax attorneys will represent you, and fee payment plans are affordable for everyone. Get the protection you deserve. Peace of mind is only a click or phone call away. The fastest way to get started is to call 904-507-4777. 904-507-4777. Or online at jdavidtaxlaw.com. The number again, 904-507-4777. Or online at jdavidtaxlaw.com.
Hello, it's me, the designer jeans in your closet. The back of your closet? What am I doing here? Would you keep caviar in the back of your fridge with the ketchup and old milk? Yeah, I don't think so. So, what happened to us? I mean, have you seen my label? I used to summer in the Hamptons, and now I'm stuck behind a pair of sweats. Sure, I never really fit you quite right, and one of my pockets is so small you can't even squeeze your hand into it. But it's all about the look. And I look good. I need to get back out on the scene. so I can be seen. You know, going to fancy parties, getting expensive iced coffees, Sunday fun days, okay? So take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create new jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Blake Bortles needs a change of scenery. People need a change of scenery from Blake Bortles. That's not the case in Denver. You can like Case Keenum or not, but it wasn't like, hey, this guy's got to get out of town.
Action Sports Jax with Brent Martineau. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on ESPN 690.
This is Action Sports Jax with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
40-yard dash lines being drawn in the parking lot here at Cox Media Group. What's Whiteboard Magic say? We already had one about the lottery.
Hey, draft hopeful Austin Lane lay off the Velveeta. Because
a little too much macaroni and cheese.
It goes to show you like how much the times have changed. Because back in 2010, out of college, I was about 260 pounds, and back then it was all about the big defensive end, the big 4-3 defensive end. So I was under the advice of my agent and just some scouts that we talked to where they wanted me to put on weight. So I had the luxury of kind of eating whatever I wanted to put on weight to bulk up for the combine. So. Not coming from Murray State where we didn't have nutritionists, I took it upon myself to gorge on tortillas and Velveeta cheese pretty much every single night. Yeah, and
that's how you gain weight.
270 real quick.
So is that what Kyler Murray just did?
Maybe, man. Maybe. You don't know. You don't know.
That's one way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
If you got to put on the weight, I figure it's shakes now, but.
Oh, we had shakes too. Like for me, it was just the Velveeta was kind of like a little dessert. It was a little treat for me.
Hey, this just in a short time ago, Ian Rappaport, the Raiders and the Coliseum Authority have reached an agreement for the team to remain in Oakland for the 2019 season at least, and the sides are ironing out final nuances and details of the deal, sources say. Could be wrapped up and presented to the board as early as Friday. And so there's a little tie-in here, I think. Now, we may later learn, but I'm going to say I think from people I've talked to, that this kind of comes around to the Jags not playing 2 games in London. Because this is where I think people in the NFL thought this was headed, where they were going to come to an agreement with the folks out in Oakland and the Coliseum to play their games there. So then the Raiders would not have to play as many games away from home and in the 2 games in London, even a home and away, whatever it might be. So,
okay.
In a roundabout way, it impacted the Jags potentially playing 2 games in London, is my view of it. We may learn more about that down the road, but I think this news today from Ian Rappaport, where the Raiders are going to play in Oakland in 2019, suggests that.
This is confirmed by Ian Rappaport? Or
it's reported, yeah. Okay. So, I mean, I think it has to go through the deal. They still have to go get it passed, but that's where it's headed.
Well, I'm going to be honest. After Adam Schefter said that thing last week on Friday about Robert Kraft, how he wasn't the biggest name in that scandal, with the massage parlor and everything. Well, hey, Adam Schefter, I haven't forgotten. We're still waiting to see who the bigger name is, supposedly.
Well, there were some names. See, it just depends. I don't think look, I don't know what he was referring to in terms of if there are bigger names, but there were big names, just not in sports.
But he said there was a bigger name than
But did he
Robert
say
Kraft.
A sports guy?
Oh, he didn't say it was a sport. Was there a bigger name than Robert Kraft on
Yeah,
that list?
I saw there were a couple other names, but they were like, I didn't know who they were.
Yeah.
But they were big names in, I think, maybe the financial world or wherever. I think, and by bigger name, maybe he meant bigger pockets.
Okay.
But I don't think we saw like a name.
Okay,
person.
so yeah, I was thinking this would be like somebody in the sporting world and everything.
And
so
we haven't
literally just on Twitter refreshing.
I think that's what we were all thinking.
Yeah.
And now, unless something else comes out, we'll see. But we did see. Thankfully, we haven't seen a video, but there was like a report, like police report, and that was enough.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, it's probably all over the place now. But
sure it is.
you know what's crazy about the Kraft thing is the dates.
Yeah.
He was there in the AFC Championship game morning. The AFC Championship game was in Kansas City.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, listen, these guys can be wherever they want 2 hours later.
That's what happens when you have a private jet. But, yeah, that's a little time-friendly there.
Listen, there's a lot of ways you can go here.
Yeah.
But again, this Kraft stuff is interesting. And the NFL now says they're going to treat this like anybody else. And they continue to say they hold the owners to a higher standard than the players.
Does anybody else find it weird that Adam Schefter's got prostitution sources, by the way, as well?
The guy breaks NBA news, college basketball news. Well,
but how do you?
It's the agents wherever they got the.
All right.
The agents are going to know stuff. I'm sure even Robert Kraft has some kind of agent or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're going to know stuff. So
Adam Schefter is the man when it comes to breaking stuff, though. It's crazy because playing fantasy football, obviously, I follow him very religiously.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen the story, it's a great story on it wasn't 60 Minutes. It was Real Sports on HBO about his family and connection to 9/11 and his wife. And I mean, I thought it was I saw it at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a new story. I guess it had been out for months, and I had just missed it. But it's a really good story. You should look it up. Cool. And interesting. I mean, you talk about a guy that is just tied to his phones in his life, and it's just he can't get away from it,
Yeah.
And when you're that successful at it, it's hard to get away from it. It's going off all the time.
Yep.
And it'll be really interesting down the road to see where Adam Schefter, when he disconnects from it. Like, in my view, like Jay Glazer was that, Rappaport and Schefter and Glazer were kind of those guys. I feel like I don't see Glazer as prominent anymore, and there's a part of me that believes he wanted to step away from getting the phone calls
daily. Did you see
daily.
where Glazer went crazy, though? Like 2 weeks ago, he went on a little rant on Twitter.
I didn't see it.
Oh, yeah, he was...
I'm not saying he's not connected. I'm just saying the daily news update, the daily breaking of the story where he used to do that. He doesn't appear to do that. Now, he's got some inside stuff still. I think he's even writing for The Athletic, and he'll also be on Fox. But it doesn't feel like he's out there as much as Rappaport and Schefter. And I wonder if and maybe people have asked him, if he's just wanted to disconnect a little bit from the everyday grind of that. Because you can never turn your phone off. I mean, these guys will break stories at 2, 3 in the morning.
It's almost like a drug,
But he said, actually, Schefter uses the exact quote.
Really?
He says it is a drug. He's like, when you break a story, it's a drug. And in this business, by the way, I can see that. I mean, you feel that sometimes. Probably whatever business you work in, if you have a little bit of success, like an Adam Schefter, and you break a story and you get people expect you to do it. I think it's probably acts as a drug, but also as a responsibility now for him to his whole network because he's expected to be the guy breaking it.
He owes it to everybody to do it.
But he's built up a little equity there, I would think. If he didn't get one,
totally built up some. I mean, hey, good for him, man. I mean, as far as if I could do that, probably not. That'd be a little stressful for me. And just, I mean, you see, like he tweets like at 4 a.m. I don't see it at 4 a.m. But the next morning, I see like he's tweeting at 4 a.m. and 5 a.m. Like, dang, man, that's got to be
the one thing he does, and I'm always interested. These guys find a way to do it. Is like he'll get up at 5, and he drive. Like I think in that story it showed that he's like, I think he lives in New York and drives to Bristol, not daily but almost daily, and it's like a 2-hour ride. But he almost got in an accident one time. In the story, it says he got in because he was texting a story to ESPN. And so ESPN hired a driver for him. Wow. So he does not drive.
Yeah.
So he can constantly be doing work.
Welcome
it's
to the
fascinating, man. It's
maybe
I don't know, though.
One day.
You come around that story, you look at that story, and you see how much he works, and I'm not sure, but it's not as glorious as it seems.
Yeah.
It would be glorious for about a month, maybe a year. But after that, it's like, it's such a grind.
It's a brand. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah. So, all right. How about a little balling and falling? Schefter usually balls.
Balling, little Oscar fever going on around here. Got to give my balling to Marshala Ali, former St. Mary's guard, just won his second Oscar for Best Supporting Role in the Green Book.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and obviously you probably remember him, Brent, from his performance in Moonlight. Did you see the movie?
No.
I didn't either, but I heard it was really good. Heard it was fantastic. I haven't seen the Green Book either. But
I'm glad that wasn't one of those that I lied to you and said, oh, yeah, I remember that.
No, for sure. But, hey, listen, he's 2 for 2 for Oscar wins and nominations, so props to him. Haven't seen any of your movies yet, dude. I think you're in True Detective Season 3, which I'll be starting up next week, I'm proud to report. So I'll check you out there, and maybe eventually I'll see you in Green Book and Moonlight. But good for you, man, an athlete that can act as well. That's pretty balling.
So were you the True Detective thing? You binge watch that thing?
Yeah, that's what I'm
I've
waiting
seen
to
an
do.
episode before, so I may get back. Like I don't know what the heck's going on, but I've seen like an episode. I'm like, oh, what is this?
You saw an episode of the newer season or like an older?
I have no idea which one it was, to be
Season
honest.
1 with Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson. I mean, do yourself a favor. And
it's good?
Yeah, I'm sure the wife would probably like it too. Kids, it's not really kid-friendly.
Okay.
Just a little, let you know.
All right, my ballin'. Hey, you ready, Coos? You got a little audio on the ballin'?
What are you doing, Coos?
You said you got the audio. You got the fish and wildlife segment of the show?
Excuse me.
If you don't have it, I can wait till the next segment because I got to play it for ballin'.
No, I got it.
You do have it?
Fish and wildlife.
I didn't give you a heads up, so apologies.
We got a flyover, and I mean a hawk. And he just dropped a fish in the outfield. It's an osprey out there that just dropped a fish out in shallow right field. And now a bald eagle has entered the scene, and everything has come to a halt. The eagle comes in, chases the osprey away, makes him drop the fish, and now the eagle is Connor Stevens is going out into shallow right. Is he going to go try and get the fish before the eagle gets it? The eagle's circling overhead. Stevens has the fish wrapped up in a towel, and he makes his way back over to the home dugout.
Well, that's Scott Manzi on the call. JU baseball game over the weekend. You didn't see this?
No, please set the story.
It was like everywhere.
Oh, man, you didn't see this guy went all over the place.
Okay.
And so the JU's playing a baseball game against Jacksonville State, and all of a sudden in one of the innings, I don't know, I didn't even look what inning it was, but that happens. There's a delay in the game because a fish is dropped behind second base.
What kind of fish was it?
It's the only thing as what's her name? Kenny Mayne.
Yeah.
From ESPN.
Yeah.
They did this on Saturday night.
Yeah.
They caught wind of it, and he said, well, what was the name of the fish?
Yeah.
But Scott Manzi described the action. I thought it was impressive that he knew it was an osprey. He identified the bald eagle right away.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like it was right in front of him.
Yeah.
And he saw that the fish dropped. It was really good impromptu stuff.
Insane.
The first headline I saw of this just said "Deleo fish," and I was like,
very
that's good.
Very good. I didn't see that one. That was pretty good.
I'm not mad at that.
So anyway, my ballin' is really to Scott Manzi because I thought the call was great. He did a really nice job with it. Just forget about the baseball and went into the fish and wildlife dictionary. But on top of that, it was amazing the amount of press that JU got from this thing.
Mm-hmm.
The JU baseball team, the Twitter handle at Jacksonville University, I mean, it made Sports Center, and it seriously was picked up by everybody. Yahoo, CBS, all of them. And I was like, wow, I didn't, sometimes you see something, you're like, that's going to get viral.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was funny. It was an interesting moment, but it didn't hit me in that moment that wow, this is going to be all over the place. And then everywhere you look, people are talking about it. So
I'll have to look into it. I haven't seen it.
You just heard it. Now you can see it and
paint the picture.
Yeah, it was pretty well done. So ballin', Scott Manzi.
We
Everything else will be just that. No, we're going to come back to
fish, falling. Literally.
Yeah, falling is the fish. But, it's funny, broadcasters are making a name for themselves. Roger Hoover from the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp last year, he went viral because during the game, a foul ball hit his laptop.
Okay.
Came through the window, hit his laptop, and broke the laptop. And that became a big story because he called the live action of it. And very much like Manzi did a fantastic job with it. So, it's funny in our
you
world,
can hear
man.
him slowly get more and more upset that his laptop was broken.
Well, so Brent, it goes to show you when we called that UNF game or whatever for basketball, something crazy is going to happen to you. You
got to be ready. Hey, Hoover got a new laptop out of it. Hopefully, Manzi gets a free fish and wildlife license here in the state of Florida. Maybe that's it. Hey, Fallen coming up next here on ESPN 690.
ESPN 690 Sports Center Update.
I'm Aaron, and it's been nearly 2 weeks since Manny Machado signed his big deal, and now we finally have breaking news on the Bryce Harper front.
MLB.com reported about 3 o'clock this morning that Bryce met with the Dodgers last night. If the Dodgers, in fact, get serious about Harper, it would likely be on a very short-term deal.
The Phillies are still believed the front runner on this one, but beside the Dodgers, other teams that have shown interest are the Giants, the White Sox, and the Nationals. The AP Top 25 is just out. New number one for the second week in a row. Gonzaga pops to the number one spot after Duke fell to UNC. Virginia back in the number two, while Florida State also drops. They're in the 18th spot now after losing to the Tar Heels over the weekend as well. And the Timberwolves' Karl Anthony Towns on the mend after his car was blasted on the highway by a semi-truck. Towns has cleared concussion protocol. Will suit up tonight against the Kings. Stream us anytime, 24/7. Just go to ESPN690.com and hit Listen Live.
Hey, everybody, this is Brent Martineau from Action Sports Jax and ESPN 690. Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville is the home of the North American Utility Vehicle of the Year, the 2019 Hyundai Kona. This new crossover utility vehicle is a perfect fit for a family who doesn't need as much room as the Hyundai Santa Fe, but more room than the Hyundai Elantra. Their customer service is top-notch at Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville, and you never have to worry about a high-pressure, haggling sales approach to you buying a car. My friends at Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville offer the no-risk, no-pressure approach. If you don't absolutely love your new Hyundai, you can bring it back within the first 7 days for your money back. They also offer a lifetime warranty that's good anywhere in the United States. Schedule a test drive today at JenkinsHyundaiofJacksonville.com or just swing by the showroom on Atlantic Boulevard. I'm confident your experience at Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville will be just as good as mine has been. Tell them Brent Martineau sent you and drop me a line on social media. Let me know how your experience was at the new Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville.
Hey everyone, this is Austin Lane from ESPN 690 and Action Sports Jax. I'm inviting you, your colleagues and friends to Pints and Pucks with the Jax Sports Council Young Professionals and the Jacksonville Icemen. Wednesday, February 27th, join the Jax Sports Council Young Professionals for a night of great networking and fun. Pints and Pucks starts at 5 at Intuition Ale Works downtown. Then we'll move to the arena for the puck drop at 7. Pints and Pucks is open to everyone, with a portion of the proceeds going to the Send the Child to the Game program. See you at Pints and Pucks.
It only takes a minute to find out if you may have prediabetes, and you can do it at doihaveprediabetes.org. But you're probably not going to. Nope. I'm sure you've got a perfectly good excuse. Kids, work. I get it. You're busy. So what better time than now? Let's begin. Raise one finger if you're a man. Ladies, none yet. Oh, count in your head if you're driving. Now, 3 more fingers for everyone over 60, 2 over 50, 1 over 40, 1 more if you're not physically active, another finger if anyone in your family has type 2 diabetes, another if you've got high blood pressure. If you're overweight, raise another finger, 2 if you're very overweight, and 3 if you're really overweight. You've just taken the world's first audio prediabetes test. And if you're holding up 5 or more fingers, visit doihaveprediabetes.org or talk to your doctor. There's no excuse because prediabetes can be reversed.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its pre-diabetes awareness partners.
March is right around the corner, and that means the Players' Championship will be here before you know it. We have your chance to win tickets to the newest venue at the Players, the Captain's Club, which includes beer, wine, and soda. To enter, go to our contest page at ESPN690.com.
You watch Action Sports Jax on CBS 47 and Fox 30.
Now Action Sports Jax is on your radio. Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anajar and Levine studios. Here's your host, Brent Martineau.
Hey, make sure you check out our new ESPN690.com website. And if you do so, how about winning tickets to the Players' Championship, which is now just a couple weeks away, of course, here in Ponte Vedra Beach. You can win some Captain Club passes for the entire week. All you have to do is go register at ESPN690.com and win some free tickets to this year's Players' Championship, ESPN690.com. Thanks for tuning in here on a Monday. Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690. Of course, you can also check us out on the video platforms, Facebook page, ESPN 690, YouTube channel at Action Sports Jax, and on Twitter at Brent A.S. Jackson. Also on Twitch. If you do the Twitch thing, we're on ESPN 690 Jax. Brent Martineau, Austin Lane, Justin Kuzart. Kuz is in the house. Kuz, give me a fallen for you. You never played this game, even though you came up with the idea. So who would be falling for you after the weekend?
I'm trying to remember who we did on the podcast this week. Ben Simmons for criticizing Nurkic on the Portland Trailblazers. He said some words to him that I can't say on the radio, but can say on the podcast, surprisingly.
There we go. Isn't that a selling point?
Yeah. So, yeah, he pretty much just called him trash when they were dead. The Sixers were down by a good amount, and, not a good look when you're down, calling a guy trash who's just absolutely
was there some kind of
working your team.
altercation or something where this resulted from?
Ben shot a free throw, and when he missed, he was Nurkic just was like, nope. So Ben got in his face a little, which I get, but you were down by a good amount. So I'd say that's my falling for Ben.
That's the thing. Cool. Like you can't trash talk when you're losing. It feels like.
And they gave up 130 points that game.
It's not a good look.
It stinks though when you can't like.
Well, you know what's worse than trash talking when you're losing is celebrating when you're losing.
Yeah,
that drives me nuts.
I know. Well, it drove everybody nuts too. Remember the Jags did it a couple of times this year. And
it's one thing if you're losing by a little amount, but if you're getting blown out, you're not going to win the game. Yeah, that's frustrating.
Well, and we've seen that before. Andre Branch did it a couple of games. I mean, people have a hard time with it. But it's interesting last year during that stretch because everybody was on the Jags case and Ramsey and Telvin Smith, and there were games where people questioned the effort of the football team. Yet, even if they were down a couple of touchdowns, they were trying to make a goal line stand. I think one of them was the Tennessee game, but there was another one too, and they were down a lot in the Tennessee game, and they were getting excited. It's like, well, how do you play the game of football without being excited, right? I mean, how do you play without energy? And if that's what it takes to get you pumped up, I mean, that's more of an internal thing, whether it shows that you're celebrating a play even though you're down 3 touchdowns. So the flip side of it is if you don't show emotion, people question if you're playing with effort. If you show emotion and you're losing, well, now you shouldn't do that because you're getting your butt kicked on the scoreboard. I think it's a little hypocritical at times that we judge those guys on that stuff.
Yeah, at the same time, though, it's one thing to be excited to, like scream or like, chest bump somebody. It's another thing to have like a pre-planned celebration already set out in motion. Say that if you make a good play, like a sack or a touchdown, you're down by 20-something points. So there's a fine line with that, but if it's spontaneous and you're just excited and you want to celebrate, by all means, because it's important to get the energy back on the team. It can change momentum and whatnot. But if you're getting blown up by 20-something points, you already had something planned, and you kind of do something that makes you look like an idiot, I can't co-sign on that.
Yeah, not too many people can. I mean, it's hard. You're not going to be able to explain. Like I tried to explain it right there, but you're not going to explain it. It's one of those things that will be, do it if you want to do it, but you're going to get crushed for doing it.
Yeah.
All right, back to balling and falling. We did the balling part. How about the falling other than fish out of the sky?
Falling. This isn't really necessarily a falling per se. I mean, it's more of just a, hey, we'll see you later. But this one's going to go out to Stefan Struve of the UFC. Said he's walking away after his last fight here this past Saturday in Prague for UFC Prague. He defeated Marcos Rodrigo de Lima. Ended up winning, I think, in the second round by KO. And listen, I'm sorry, it wasn't KO. It was a head and arm choke. You know what a head and arm choke is, Brent? I need you to know what a head and arm choke is.
Who was this again?
Stefan Struve.
Who was he fighting?
He was fighting Marcos Rodrigo de Lima. From Brazil.
I'm trying to see if I saw. No, I didn't see that fight. So then I don't know what it is because I saw one that would probably resemble it.
Well, trust me, if you would have saw this fight, you would have remembered it because the human sky escaper, as he is known, is he's 7 feet tall, legit. Stefan Struve, 7 feet tall. Fights heavyweight. It's got an 84.5-inch reach. One of the longest of all time, if not the longest in the UFC. Finally decided he's walking away. He had some heart problems before that caused him to be a little nervous. Those heart problems came back fine, but just kind of fell in love with something else, I guess he said, and kind of fell out of love with fighting. So props to him. Obviously, Struve will be known for fights with Pat Barry, Big Nog Nogueira, and also knocked out the champ Stipe Miocic back in the day as well. Struve never got to fight for the belt, unfortunately, but, standing over 7 feet tall, he will not be forgotten.
All right. There's your fallen, or at least retiring.
Yeah.
Getting out of it.
I'm not saying he's fallen. I'm just saying, hey, congratulations on a great career.
I got a guy getting out, but he's fallen. Okay. And that's Independence Community College football coach Jason Brown.
Okay.
Never heard of him, right?
Never heard of him, no.
Well, you probably have. You just don't know. Last Chance U.
Ah, okay.
He's season 3 on the Netflix series of Last Chance U.
Yep.
He's the coach, and he resigned Sunday. He told a German player on his team, quote, "I am your new Hitler," end quote. And this was in a text message to the kid. And the text messages from the kid are now out. And the whole conversation, actually, I mean, take that alone stands by itself. But the whole conversation, as he's kind of like, I think he ends up kicking the kid off the team, is the way I saw it. But I mean, are you kidding me? You know?
Hey, yeah, maybe we don't text that to your players.
Yeah, maybe you don't say it, but
maybe you don't even think it. Oh man,
it shows it. Here's the deal. Like, are you surprised? I'm not surprised by anything.
You can't be anymore.
But I think it does. It's such an interesting story or line that you, I think, draw as a coach at any level. You know, is the motivation that crosses that line. Like, where is it? You know, you got to get the most out of your guys. It's a violent sport. It's an in-your-face kind of people can handle. If you can't handle that, you probably can't handle what's going on in between the white lines. For these kids, too, Last Chance U is for a reason. They obviously screwed up their first chance or maybe their second and third chances, and so you're trying to get to these guys, and that's not always an easy thing. So, you know, that hard-nosed approach, that in-your-face approach, that probably wouldn't happen at a normal workplace, I don't mind some of that in sports. I think it's part of it. And maybe it's just because you grow up around it and you hear it sometimes, and some are worse than others, for sure. But I don't really mind it. But I'm not sure how necessary it is my point. Like, how is that motivation? Is the tearing down of a player that we have all, well, not all, but some have grown accustomed to and said, well, that's just part of it. Is it necessary? Does it work? And I think that's really the question in this day and age, especially does it work with this new athlete, with the new young man or woman this day and age? I mean, a lot of people think kids are different now. They need to be treated differently. They need to be yelled at differently. They need to be, and whether you call that coddling or not, you know, it's still the approach is not maybe the same that it was 20 years ago, even 10 years ago.
We had my former D-line coach, Coach Jay, on the show a couple weeks back, and, you know, I told you straight up, Brent, he's a guy that never chewed you out. He never swore at you. He never tried to embarrass you. And in doing that, we played for him even harder because we respected him so much. So, listen, every player, every athlete's going to respond differently to criticism and whatnot, but when you cross the line, when you say something like with the Hitler thing, I mean, that's over the line by a long shot. I can't imagine what that kid was thinking when he read that, man. That's just, it's classless, it's pointless, it's not motivating at all. It's just, it shows that you know that you're an ass and you shouldn't do that.
And I can't read the rest of it, but you should read some of the rest of the tweets. If you go find it, you'll see it. Just, again, if you want the inflection of somebody yelling, that gets people's attention enough. What you say after that, I think you got to be more respectful to the player, the human being, the young man, young person than that guy was. Coming up more on ESPN 690, more storytelling from the Combine. But really, what are the Jags looking for this week?
It's Golick and Wingo.
Boston was a pit of misery outside of the Celtics for decades in terms of winning. Okay, you had the Celtics and you had everything else that was kind of a big bowl of crap. These sports fans in Boston, they really have no idea how good they have it, and I wonder what it's going to take for them to understand the embarrassment of riches that has come their way.
Golick and Wingo, weekday mornings at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN2.
Springtime is almost here. It's the perfect time to tackle the next job on your list. And AutoZone has the free services to help you do it. With the AutoZone Rewards program, members get more, like a $20 reward every time you spend $20 or more 5 times. And right now, get 5 quarts of Pennzoil Platinum Full Synthetic or Full Synthetic High Mileage Motor Oil and an FTP Extended Life Oil Filter for $17.99 after a $15 AutoZone gift card by mail. Let us help you at more than 5,600 locations nationwide. See terms at AutoZone.com/rewards. Restrictions and details in store.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Golick, did you know that Gatorade Zero has all the same electrolytes but with zero sugar?
I did know that because I drank some Gatorade Zero after I ran 2 miles at the gym this morning.
2? Please, I ran 3.
Did I mention I also was on a 6 incline?
You didn't, but that's interesting because that's 2 less than I was on.
Were you also running backwards? Because I was.
No.
Gatorade Zero, all the electrolytes with zero sugar, so you can get more out of zero.
The 2019 Harrell and Harrell Performance Studio is here, and it's better than ever. It's your chance to meet the personalities on the new ESPN 690. Sit in the front row and ask your questions to athletes in town, sports analysts, and experts. You'll be able to see them in person. It's going to be the best year yet. So listen to ESPN 690 for your chance to win your way in throughout the year. It's the Harrell & Harrell Performance Studio, brought to you by Harrell & Harrell.
Hi, it's Nathan from Gordon Chevy in Orange Park, where our no bull pricing and express sales process will have you out the door in a new Chevy fast. No bull means fast, fair, and transparent. It's what you can always expect at Gordon Chevy. And somehow, I fat-fingered the order for 2019 Colorados and ended up with over 100 in stock. So right now, you can get up to $4,000 off. That's the truck everybody's talking about, the Chevy Colorado. Only at the money-saving end of Blanding Boulevard and online at GordonChevy.com. Chevy, find new roads.
You look at the way Paul George is playing, and you look at Russell Westbrook. I don't think anybody can deny Oklahoma City may be the biggest threat to the Golden State Warriors.
The Stephen A. Smith Show, weekdays from 1 to 3 p.m. on ESPN 690.
Hey, it's Mike Golick from Golick and Wingo. You're listening to Action Sports Jax with our friend Brent Martineau on ESPN 690.
Had to sleep on the couch last night.
Uh-oh. Here comes personal time with Brent Martineau.
Wasn't in the doghouse, really.
Okay.
I avoided it because I
it's the allergies.
Preempted strike, or I would have probably been in the doghouse. I am not a snoring guy. What's the whiteboard say?
I definitely used to use. I definitely used way more glue in my first 5 years of life than I have combined ever since.
Oh, very good. Were you the kid that put glue all over your hands and then tried to peel it?
Heck yeah, I did.
I did it. But what's the fascination with it?
It just feels cool. But I'm being honest though, I was one of those kids that actually ate the glue, so don't.
You did?
No, I didn't. No.
Oh, okay.
Heck no, come on. Nah. That's gross. But I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off with your story here.
Oh, no. I mean, you got me on the glue peeling. I mean, I did it, too. I love you.
Taking a taste or two of that glue when I was younger.
I'm not surprised whatsoever.
Did you eat paint chips as a kid?
No paint chips.
Dabble a little bit in some glue and chalk.
Definitely a little bit of that
paste.
Elmer's, just and Play-Doh for whatever reason. I tried that too.
Did you used to sniff markers as well?
The scented ones, yeah.
Well, of course, obviously not the original ones. Come on, man.
Actually, my headphones
My
headphones are held together with glue right over here right now.
Ah, there you go. He's getting a nice little buzz off it. I can tell.
Maybe I could sniff the markers and clear out my nose. But yeah, man, allergies are tough. We got the rain washes all of it off the cars, of course, and then the wind blowing today. But I am not a snorer by nature.
Seems like you're pretty proud of that too. You really brought that point home there.
I am not, but in the last handful of years or whatever, I've become more of one.
Okay.
Most of the time when I get congestion, and my wife says it was not good the other day.
Yeah.
Like Saturday or Sunday night. What's today? Monday?
Today's
so Saturday
Monday.
night.
Yep.
So I think she left, and she goes upstairs sometimes if she can't handle it. Like she doesn't get to bed early enough. And so last night I caught myself. It's so bad last night that I was catching myself
snoring.
Oh,
that's the worst,
isn't it?
That's you have an issue on your hands.
Like you're in almost a coma because you're just knocked out from the sniffling and sneezing or whatever. But then I wake myself up and I'm like wide awake. So like I don't feel like I haven't even been sleeping. But I felt like, at the time you feel like you're in this deep sleep.
Yeah.
And so I said, you know what, this is going to be loud. This is going to be bad. I'm going to do the right thing here, and I'm going to sleep on the couch.
Good for you.
So I slept on the couch last night.
How was it?
Didn't even get kicked off. It was fine.
It was fine.
But I can't tell, like, when I get congested like this, I don't know if I'm sleeping well.
Because obviously, if you wake up the next morning, you feel like crap regardless, right? Is that what you're saying?
Pretty much. Or I feel fine today. It's not like I was like, I only slept an hour, but I can't tell if you're in a deep sleep or not, or you're constantly waking yourself up. But it stinks.
Yeah.
But it's like I used to live. My buddy, when he would come over the house or stay over the house as when we were kids, he snored like all the time, even as a young kid.
Sure.
He was a big guy.
Yep.
And I used to actually when I remember being a kid, like young, like whatever, 13, 14 years old, and he would snore so loud that I would actually like go get my parents and say, listen to this.
Check this out.
I would just be dying laughing and snore so loud. Like, I'd never heard that.
Yeah.
Now I'm that guy.
You are that guy now. Welcome to the club.
I don't know what I'm going to do about it.
Thankfully, I've never been a big snorer for whatever reason. So I guess they say if you snore a lot, it's not healthy for you, obviously.
It can't be good for you.
Airways, yeah.
Yeah, it can't be good.
But I'm a big sleep talker sometimes.
Are you?
Yeah, it's what my wife has told me on numerous occasions. So
yeah, I don't get a lot of that.
No. I guess I just have some very lucid dreams for whatever reason. I don't know.
That might be a good thing if you're a sleep talker.
Yeah, for sure. As long as I'm not answering myself, I think I'll be all right.
Just don't be a sleepwalker.
There we go.
All right, the Combine's coming up this week, and we're going to talk a lot about it, obviously, tomorrow. I didn't want to just crush everybody with Combine talk, but we'll be there Wednesday, Thursday. We'll talk to all the necessary parties, Dave Caldwell, Doug Marrone, a lot of the folks that are there, hopefully the QBs, a lot of national folks on what people are thinking, and I'm sure we'll have some news. We'll have risers. We'll have fallers. We'll have a little bit of everything at the Combine. But overall, if you look at the days, Friday it's like offensive linemen get going. Saturday's the huge day for the Jags. QBs, tight ends, wide receivers. Sunday's defensive linemen and linebackers, and Monday the Jags can come home. It's cornerbacks. They don't even need to be there for that. But, I think Friday and Saturday are interesting days for the Jags. Running backs and offensive linemen, they'll have their eyes on.
Yeah.
And then Saturday, of course, you could get all three. And before that, you got medical tests, you have interviews, everything else. Do you think they're honed in on specific players or still position groups that they have? Like, if they're bored, which is probably, I wouldn't say set, but at least organized in some fashion, I envision that they might have, okay, let's circle this guy, circle this guy, circle this guy. We know enough about that guy, and say, all right, we need to really ask these kind of questions about X player. Is that the feel you get?
Absolutely. So if you're talking about a preparation for, the Combine and whatnot with NFL teams, I feel like they obviously know the positions that they need. So wide receiver, tight end, maybe another edge rusher. So, that's like the big things that they have to focus on, right? And then in those groups, then there's players that they feel pretty good on already, and there's players that they need to really do their due diligence, maybe get some interviews in, maybe see some more film, just because, let's be honest here. So with the wide receivers coming out, you got the top two that people are saying right now are DK Metcalf from Ole Miss, who I've been high on, obviously, and then the other guy, too, from Ole Miss is A.J. Brown. Well, these guys don't have a lot of film out there, so you don't have anything really to go on. So that's where the Combine comes into play, where if you turn on DK Metcalf's tape, he's been hurt and he wasn't getting the ball a lot, so there's not much to analyze per se. So that's a guy that you have circled, on your list, because assuming they're interested in him, I think any team's interested in him. He's going to be a first-round guy more than likely. So they circle him because, A, they got to interview him some more. They got to kind of get a feel for what kind of player he is, because they don't have the film to go off. And then obviously when he runs the 40-yard dash, he does the shuttle, all the agility stuff. They're going to be keeping a close eye on him as well. So I think it comes down to they know what they need, and they have the players that they're already pretty high on, and there's players that they really got to focus on and really attack with interviews and whatnot.
Yeah, and I would agree. I think that part is, that's basic. That's part of the process of all this. That if you're uncomfortable with an attribute of a player, which, by the way, they rip these guys apart. They've got to be shredding them apart, and it's safe to note that the medicals are so important here, so important.
Yeah,
and Dr. Kevin Kaplan and his staff will be up there, and they will do a ton of MRIs and physicals, and really, that to me, it's the biggest part, because then you'll red flag some players and say, okay, they're off. They will take a certain amount of players, say, from an injury or character standpoint, they're done. Now, the medical's not going to find out the character part, but they'll eliminate players. And there's not a lot of players they usually eliminate and just take right off their board, but I would say every draft class probably has somewhere between 7 and 10 of them.
Well, and when it comes to medicals, too, and that's something I'm going to share more, when we have our story time again, either today or maybe the first segment tomorrow. With the medicals, though, it's insane, because you think about getting a physical, right? Like, it's pretty, it's intricate, it can take a while. Well, imagine getting a physical from 32 teams. And now imagine those 32 teams, and imagine that you have some injury history. So now those 32 teams are also going to poke and prod on you with that injury history as well. So it's honestly It's one of the worst things of the combine. It drove me nuts because literally you feel just like you're a piece of meat. I mean, you're standing there in your spandex and nothing else, and you just feel like a piece of meat, like getting ready for the market, basically, to put it lightly.
Well, don't hold that one tomorrow. We're going to talk about that one next.
We'll
Not
talk
right
about it
now.
next.
We'll
Okay.
a couple minutes, and then on the other side of this, we'll talk another story time. We promised a couple different story times, but I think this is good because I think people wonder about this and what it's like. You've been through it, so I think this is where you can let people in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we see reports, we see guys run the 40. We know there's interviews and medicals, but outside of that, I mean, why is this thing so big? And I think you can give us some insight on that, especially from the medical point of view and all the other stories you'll share this week. We did get a comment about what the Jags might be looking for. Stevie Stack says to determine if Hawkinson is the next Dallas Clark. If so, take it number 7. Now, that's interesting. Here's the big thing about what they learned. And to me, they have to have 2 game plans. 1, if we get Nick Foles. 2, if we don't get Nick Foles. And that changes their entire draft process. So these next few weeks are so critical in determining. That's why I say I don't think they really have their board set up necessarily. They might rank their top 100 players or however they do it. But I don't think they can actually have in their mind, okay, I think it's going to go this way. Not just yet. We haven't even been to pro days. They haven't even interviewed them at the combine. They haven't done the medical checks. These next couple of weeks are big in that, but it's their decision-making, what happens in free agency, that to me will really change what their draft day is like still a couple of months away.
So Hawkinson's a guy that you've really been high on. I'm also kind of a big fan of him as well. So let's go ahead and assume that the Jaguars get Foles, because then that would guarantee that the Jaguars go probably either a pass catcher, offensive lineman, or an edge rusher with that 7th pick. Say they do get Hawkinson. A guy that I've been kind of comparing him to, I was doing some research and whatnot. Do a little homework for you there, Brent.
I love the homework.
And actually,
I read a comp the other day. I'll be interested if you have the same one.
Well, a guy that he's comparable to that people haven't mentioned. So, like, basically, when I looked at T.J. Hawkinson, everyone's comparing him to Travis Kelce. Hey, if we can get Travis Kelce the first round, yes, please.
That's interesting. That's who they're comparing
to. That's what Steve Zerline from NFL.com,
interesting,
the official common website, compared him to Travis Kelce. I compared him to George Kittle, another former Iowa Hawkeye. Kittle ran a 4.5 at the combine, 4.52, 18 reps in the bench press. Hawkinson will probably be a little higher than that, 35-inch vertical. Coming out of college, Kittle was a 5th-round pick, obviously, from San Francisco. Played in a pro-style attack. The scouts loved how he approached the blocking game as well as the receiving game as well. He had flashes of vertical speed. He was a physical runner. And they said that he had more wiggle than you would expect. His only downsides for Kittle was the fact that his patterns are a little inconsistent, misses some separation at blocks, and lasts the initial burst. If you get George Kittle in the first round, Brent, would you take George Kittle? Then this is a serious question because there's no, I don't know how.
Yeah, I feel like I would take the production of George Kittle. I really would. I just think if you had said that name, Kyle Shanahan to me plays a role in that.
True.
So, yeah, I mean, what I'm looking for, yeah, I would take it. Now, I heard Mark Bavaro like blocking skills. That's where the Travis Kelce stuff doesn't. You can't be Bavaro and Kelce.
True.
I mean, this guy's talented, but you can't be both.
Yep.
All right, story time from the combine coming up. The medicals. Oh, boy.
I also want to talk about another tight end, too, that we should be talking a lot more about that I'm actually might be a bigger fan than TJ Hawkinson.
Oh, that's a tease.
That's another tease.
Next on ESPN 690.
ESPN 690 Sports Center Update.
I'm Aaron, and it's been nearly 2 weeks since Manny Machado signed his big deal, and now we finally have breaking news on the Bryce Harper front.
MLB.com reported about 3 o'clock this morning that Bryce met with the Dodgers last night. If the Dodgers, in fact, get serious about Harper, it would likely be on a very short-term deal.
The Phillies are still believed the front runner on this one, but beside the Dodgers, other teams that have shown interest are the Giants, the White Sox, and the Nationals. The AP Top 25 is just out. New number 1 for the second week in a row. Gonzaga pops to the number 1 spot after Duke fell to UNC. Virginia back in the number 2, while Florida State also drops. They're in the 18th spot now after losing to the Tar Heels over the weekend as well. And the Timberwolves' Karl Anthony Towns on the mend after his car was blasted on the highway by a semi-truck. Towns has cleared concussion protocol. Will suit up tonight against the Kings. Stream us anytime, 24/7. Just go to ESPN690.com and hit Listen Live. Hey,
everybody. This is Brent Martineau from Action Sports Jax here on ESPN 690. And although the focus has shifted a little bit from football and heading into basketball season, maybe even baseball season, we have not lost our focus on helping you get the best car buying experience. If you haven't been to see my friends at the new Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville, you've got to see this new state-of-the-art showroom and meet their fantastic people. Beyond that, if you're thinking about buying a new or pre-owned car, you really should go see the team at the new Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville. I'm really confident you'll find their approach to be a breath of fresh air. Take it from me. I drive a Hyundai, and my friends at Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville emphasize a no-risk and no-pressure approach. They offer a limited lifetime warranty that's good anywhere in the United States, and if you're not 100% satisfied with your vehicle for any reason, you can bring it back within the first 7 days for your money back. Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville is located on Atlantic Boulevard. You can schedule a test drive today at JenkinsHyundaiofJacksonville.com. And tell them Brent Martineau sent you.
WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, a Cox Media Group station.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Reese. Right now, Patriots owner Robert Kraft officially charged today with 2 counts of first-degree solicitation of prostitution in Florida as part of a crackdown on human trafficking. According to documents released today, Kraft visited a Florida massage parlor January 20th, the same day the Patriots played the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. A spokesman for Kraft said on Friday they categorically denied he engaged in any illegal activity. Baseball, Dodgers manager Dave Roberts confirming he was part of an L.A. contingent that met with Bryce Harper yesterday. The free agent outfielder also met this weekend with the Phillies. Harper wants a long-term contract. Dodgers interested in short-term, which gives the Phils a possible advantage, notes ESPN's Jeff Hassan.
The Dodgers aren't in long-term at this point. We don't think the Dodgers are going to be in long-term, and Bryce Harper has not indicated at all that he is willing to take a short-term deal. So the Philadelphia Phillies, I think, are still categorized as the favorite at this point.
College basketball, Duke superstar Zion Williamson with that knee injury out tomorrow against Virginia Tech.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all of your car care needs. We're close, convenient, and known for our guaranteed everyday low prices and excellent customer service from professional parts people you can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anajar and Levine studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. ESPN 690. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio.
You watch Action Sports Jax on CBS 47 and Fox 30.
Now Action Sports Jax is on your radio. Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anajar and Levine studios. Here's your host, Brent Martineau.
Be a member of the Captain's Club during the Players' Championship in just a couple of weeks, and you can do it for free. Win weekly passes to the Captain's Club. Here's all you have to do. Go to ESPN690.com, register to win, and you might win. Go to the new ESPN690.com website. Go to the contest page, click on that, and enter to win. And you can win Captain Club's weekly passes to the Players' Championship, which is obviously upcoming. Couple of things from the weekend. We mentioned UNF news losing Noah Horkler. That's a big deal. They got a big win over the weekend on the basketball court. JU loses in men's basketball. ASUN tournament is coming up next week. So final week of the regular season for the ASUN. The Gators got a big win. It wasn't pretty, but nothing's been too pretty for the Gators. And they're in a stretch where they need to roll off a couple of victories, especially following up that LSU big win on the road. And if they can keep this going, maybe they get another one over LSU or sneak by Kentucky. I doubt it, but maybe. At least right now, if they take care of business, looks like they're in the NCAA tournament. I think many people would agree. Bryce Harper alert. It should be happening at some time. We would think this week that he gets a deal done. Phillies seem to be the front runner, as you have heard on the updates all afternoon. But the Dodgers could be back in play. You got to wonder. That seems like agent talk, sliding it out there, trying to put a little pressure on the Phillies. Who knows? We'll see. But it's a funny game sometimes when it comes to that. Best part of the Oscars, by the way, we were talking about the Oscars earlier. Samuel Jackson coming out and giving the Knicks score. Had to be sports related for me, but I just thought it was funny because the whole thing ended up obviously revolving around Spike Lee.
Said after that though? Did you see what he said? They actually had like the closed caption on what he said.
Did I catch what he said? I guess I did.
So when Sam Jackson said like, yeah, hey, the Knicks won whatever against the Spurs. Spike Lee turns to his friend and was like, we're trying to tank. They're supposed to be tanking.
They had lost like 18 in a row at home, and they came back and won that one.
Did you hear about your boy Spike Lee, too, when the Green Book got announced?
No.
So
I missed all this stuff.
Yeah, so if you're watching live.
That's why you're here.
Exactly. I'm here to fill you guys in. So if you watched it live and, the Green Book won the last award, the Best Picture, you could kind of notice that there was like a little disturbance in the crowd because people were standing up a little bit when they were talking and whatnot. And what ended up happening was Spike Lee, when the Green Book got announced, I guess he was so pissed off that he actually got up and walked out when they're giving their speech and tried to leave like the door, like try to leave the building. And security had to stop him and tell him to go back to his seat. So like the whole time he was making like a big commotion. So he had to walk back down the aisle and sit back in his seat until it was over.
Well, that's kind of weak.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was just kind of ticked off that his movie lost out to the Green Book.
That is an interesting thing about it. Like we do the awards or whatever for TV, and you find out if like on a Facebook post or whatever if you win or lose, and maybe you're. I think those things are overrated. But my point is, you are in that atmosphere. You are in win or lose.
I know.
Like obviously, at the end. Like Glenn Close losing again, where everybody would like to see her win.
0 for 8, right? Or 0 for 7 now?
I mean, so, when you're...
Get that batting average up, Glenn.
But you're still in the front row because it's a big storyline of that day, So that's a tough spot to be in.
Yeah.
Not everybody has to be in the same. It's kind of like the Heisman, I guess, right? The two other guys are there.
But this is Spike Lee, though. I mean, he's kind of an outspoken and kind of a character. So I can't say that I'm surprised, especially I'm sure he thought that he was going to win for his Black Klansman movie. And it's kind of ironic, too, that he lost out to the Green Book and almost, I think, would have been 20 years now. Do the Right Thing was nominated for Best Feature Film. And that lost out to Driving Miss Daisy, which is kind of like the same kind of movie. So I'm sure that kind of added salt to the wound for him as well.
He threw a little Do the Right Thing in there yesterday during his acceptance
Good movie.
Speech. All right, back to the NFL Combine. Story time. Before the break, we were talking about medical evaluations at the Combine.
Yeah. So getting back to the medical. So I just kind of set the scene of we're training for the Combine and whatnot. Now it's actually time to go to the Combine. And one of the very first things you got to get done is the physicals and the medicals and everything. So going in to the Combine, I didn't really have too many serious injuries, or at least I thought. I had a little MCL issue. I had a couple concussions my junior and senior year in football. So I figured, I'd be all right. It'd be a breeze because you hear these horror stories or teams will, keep you till 3 a.m. with MRIs and whatnot just because of all your medical history. So I get there and literally, like I said before, it's like you're a piece of cattle. You walk in this room and there's about probably 8 or 9 teams per room. So you walk in this room, you tell them who you are and everything. They have the charts up and literally you have 8 or 9 guys from the 8 or 9 different teams walk around and they're poking and prodding at you at the same time. And you're just in your spandex. You're basically in your underwear, man. And so you're kind of at their mercy. They'll tell you to bend your elbow and then they'll move it. And another guy's on your leg telling you to bend your leg at the same time. And you're trying to talk to everybody and listen to everybody at the same time. It's a nightmare. And, like I said, I had my knee. So they were questioning my knee. So I had to get MRIs after that. So when it was all said and done, I mean, the whole medical process was about, probably not exaggerating, about 3 hours.
Wow.
To get through all that with all the teams and everything. And then they have to ask you about your history, like your family history and whatnot. So that's another, hour or so. And the whole time, so I actually fractured my vertebrae in high school. I fractured my back. And I'm just praying like they don't notice something about my back because that's a serious injury. And I won't have to go down that road. We have to explain to them, it's 100% now. It's all good. So thankfully they never found that out. But they did find my MCL. They found out my concussions and whatnot. So I was scheduled for MRIs. And so this is another funny thing what teams can do too. So each team, depending on what they see, schedules the MRI.
Yeah.
So say, for instance, the Jaguars didn't like how my knee looked. Well, then Jaguars scheduled an MRI. Well, then the Chiefs can schedule like an MRI too as well. and then they'll have their people look at the documents. So it's not just one general MRI for.
It's not one MRI and then you pass it around.
No,
they do their
Every
own
team
MRI.
does their own MRI. So like I said, I had my
Sounds
knee.
like a colossal waste of time.
Yeah. So like I said, I had my knee, and it wasn't anything serious. I mean, it was a sprain. It wasn't even a tear. It was an MCL. And with that knee, I had 8 different teams requesting to see the MRI. So that's 8 different, MRIs basically I had to do. So when it was all said and done, man,
What does that? Let me stop you there. What does that tell you? That you only had 8 teams. Like if I'm again from the team's perspective, you have to check everything, right? And so in this conversation, I'd be first of all, why didn't they find the vertebrae stuff? Was it just because it was healed?
Well, yeah, I mean, it was healed, and they never had
not
records
issue,
from
so
the
it
high
didn't
school.
matter.
Yeah, they didn't have records.
And so
from high
they
school.
didn't go back to the high school thing.
I didn't have records in high school.
You didn't have it.
They could see it. Yeah.
That was good for you.
Great for me.
Right? Because they didn't have to ask questions. How'd they find out the concussions? From Murray State?
Those have to be reported, yeah. So they obviously, when the scouts...
Even then they did in 2010 or 9?
Yeah. Yep, those were reported.
Okay. So they got those from Murray State. What did you have? A couple of concussions?
Oh, yeah, I had 2 concussions. I had one my senior year, one my junior year.
That's interesting. That's not a red flag. I wonder if it'd be a red flag today. A couple of concussions, or is that normal?
It's pretty standard, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then, so the MCL.
Yeah.
And when did you do that?
Man, I did that going into my junior year. I did it in the summer. I was in a car accident. I got ejected from a truck. I was riding in the bed of a pickup truck, and the truck rolled, and I flew out the back of the truck and tore my MCL.
That's all, luckily.
Lucky to be alive. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Not good.
So did you have to share that story, how it happened?
Eventually, I had to share that story because I got an underage for that too, because there was drinking involved, and I wasn't 21 yet, and I was in the hospital, and the officers came in and figured there was drinking going on. So the officer came up to me, and this was in Evanston, Indiana at the time. The officer came up to me, he's like, "Hey, who was driving?" And I'm like, I can't remember. I'm concussed, and I wasn't concussed. I just wasn't going to snitch on my friend. So he said, "Listen, we can either do this the easy way or the hard way. Either you tell us who was driving or you're getting underage." I'm like, "All right, I'll take my underage then, because I'm not telling you." So I got underage from that.
Did they find out who was driving anyway?
Yeah, so the driver the driver left the scene of an accident, which was not smart.
No.
And he dislocated his shoulder. So he sat at his apartment with a dislocated shoulder. Well, the cops came in, busted down the door, and took him to jail. And he sat in jail for 48 hours with a dislocated shoulder.
Oof.
Not good.
Yeah. So anyway, they go back and ask those stories. But the MCL's from there. So your MCL's from way back in the day. But they still want to do an MRI, make sure. I mean, that's now, what, 4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah, exactly.
And your knee's fine.
The knee is fine, yeah. So, yeah, they wanted to see, but I'll get this, too. So I distinctly remember this. So it was my right knee that I had the injury on. Baltimore requested that I get an MRI on my elbow and my left knee, which kind of made me upset because I never had any injuries in my left knee. I never had, elbow injuries. I've never had an arm injury. So I called my agent. I'm like, "Jason, what's going on, man?" I'm like, I have to, because, like I said, each MRI is like an hour long. And if you move and if you're tired and you fall asleep and you move a little bit, you have to redo it. So I was like, "What's up with these MRIs with my left knee and the elbow?" And Jason told me, I'm not sure if they still do this to this day, but at the time, Baltimore did that because they tried to smoke screen it where I had more injuries than what I actually appeared to have.
They wanted you to push it down.
Because other teams will get a hold like, "Oh, well, Austin Lane's getting an MRI on his left knee now and his elbow. Like, maybe this kid's actually injury prone and whatnot." So teams will actually do that just to play mind games with other teams.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I literally got an MRI on my elbow and my left knee just because.
Just because
do a smoke screen.
They checked out.
Yeah.
But that also shows you why they don't pass it around. Like, I would just say, why don't they? I could see if you want your own doctor to look at it. But isn't an MRI an MRI?
I don't know, man.
I mean, I'm surprised they just don't have the league do that stuff and then pass your stuff around. And maybe there's some HIPAA law or something like that. You can't do it. I don't know.
Maybe it's changed. I'm sure it's a lot faster these days. It almost has to be because it was ridiculous of how slow that stuff went. Like with the MRIs, there was like giant trucks set up because it's at the Colts Stadium where the combine is. So like where the Colts, like where a team bus would park, that's where the MRI things are. They're like giant buses. So there's like 10 different MRIs, but I mean, like I said,
Still not enough.
I was putting nights where I was there for like 2 a.m. just doing MRIs.
Unbelievable. More of that story. I got a question about that, and then stay in your lane, even though I feel like we've already done stay in your lane. That's next on ESPN 690, plus some hot takes on the way.
Action Sports Jax with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 is brought to you by Best Bet Jacksonville and Orange Park.
Hey everyone, this is Austin Lane from ESPN 690 and Action Sports Jax. I'm inviting you, your colleagues and friends to Pints and Pucks with the Jax Sports Council Young Professionals and the Jacksonville Icemen. Wednesday, February 27th, join the Jax Sports Council Young Professionals for a night of great networking and fun. Pints and Pucks starts at 5 at Intuition Ale Works downtown. Then we'll move to the arena for the puck drop at 7. Pints and Pucks is open to everyone, with a portion of the proceeds going to the Send the Child to the Game program. See you at Pints and Pucks.
The best kept secret in tires is TireOutlet.com. Tire Outlet offers you wholesale prices with premium service. And most important, TireOutlet.com has always had a safety-first focus. With locations throughout the First Coast, check out TireOutlet.com today.
Like, your lack of retention is a breathtaking thing that should be among the 7 wonders of the world.
I couldn't see the uniform through Devon's smoke.
The Dan Le Batard Show with Stu Gatz. Weekdays from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on ESPN 690.
Now, back to Action Sports Jax with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
One of the big stories of the day, Robert Kraft solicited a prostitute on the day of the AFC Championship game. That's the police report. The date in question lines up with the AFC Championship game in Jupiter. Remember, the AFC Championship game was in Kansas City. So this story far from over, but that's the latest on that story that dropped on Friday going into the weekend. Brent Martineau, Austin Lane, Coos in the house on a Monday. Hope you're having a good day, everybody in Jacksonville, Florida, and beyond, wherever you are listening. 5:15, stay in your lane on the way. Some hot takes coming up as well. But let's finish up our story time from the NFL Combine, talking about the medicals and what a process that is. Mm-hmm. And you brought up that from 5 years earlier, a torn MCL from a car accident.
Yeah, it wasn't even torn. It was sprained.
Or sprained, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That teams wanted to look, about 8 teams wanted to do an MRI on your right knee.
Yeah.
And my curiosity there was, is that only 8 teams doing their due diligence? Like, does that show 8 teams really were looking in, like, the depths of Austin Lane? Or does that show that there was probably, in likelihood, maybe just 8 or 10 teams that were interested in drafting you?
See, and
what's your read on it? I'm sure you don't know.
And I never really got a full disclosure of how it worked. But it's like you said, where if you take an MRI, I feel like other teams could have access to that MRI. But, like, every team wanted, like, a certain, like, angle or something like that. You know, like how you set an MRI machine, sometimes you got to turn it a certain way. So I assume if every team wanted access, they could have it. You know, I don't know if there's, like, a database of where they could.
I'm going to try to find that out this week.
Yeah, we should find that out. But no, that's not what I gathered at all from it, because simply, it's like I said, some teams are doing smoke screens and just calling out fake injuries just to try to, you know, make the player drop it. Now, granted, like, not first-round picks, because first-round picks are pretty much set where they're going to go. But these are guys, like, for me, I was a small school guy, so I was it was anywhere from 3rd round to 7th round was like my projection. So I was all over the place.
Yeah. Do you know if the Jags asked for the MRI? Do you remember?
I believe they did, yeah, because I remember I talked to Justin, I think, and I think Rod was there too at the time, who are still there.
Who are still there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I like it, getting the backstory here on the NFL Combine. Different probably for every player too, like you said. That's another part of it, the projection. Was that a process or just something that people watch tape and figure out?
That's just that somebody said, man. Yeah, I had no... wasn't like I was taking a test and like, oh, okay, he tested out here. No, it was just literally what scouts and everybody thought.
All right, we're going to take you through some of these stories all week from the Combine when we're up there, but also Austin Lane. I mean, heck, he lived it. He went through it, and we thought, why not share some of the stories, including the Wonderlic. Tomorrow we'll do a little tease. I told him to hang on to this one, but he had a problem with the height measurement. And so that's a story we'll get to tomorrow, which also includes Rex Ryan. So that will be fun. That's called a tease, folks. That'll be tomorrow from 3 to 6 here at ESPN 690.
And speaking of a tease, I actually teased, a few segments back about the tight end that I'm really looking at for this Combine coming up here. A guy I might actually like more than T.J. Hawkinson.
Get out of here.
Well, I mean, it should come as no surprise to you. They're actually teammates. But the more I do research on Noah Fant, the more I've been very intrigued by it. And here's why. If we're talking about T.J. Hawkinson, I get it. He's a dual threat. You know, he's a good run blocker and he's a good receiver. I feel like offenses these days, and I'm not sure what the Jaguars are trying to do yet, you don't necessarily need the best blocking tight end. Now, if you have that, yeah, that's fantastic and everything, and that's why T.J. Hawkinson's ranked so high is because, he can do both. And he's slated right now to go number 8, if I'm not mistaken, to the Detroit Lions.
In some mock drafts,
in some mock drafts.
Oh, and Mike Kuiper's.
Yeah, Mike Kuiper's mock draft. But the more I look at Noah Fant here, 6'5", 241, so obviously a decent size. But listen to the strengths right off the bat. So, for instance, the strengths right away off T.J. Hawkinson. And once again, this is Steve Zerline from NFL.com, former pro scout. His first strength for T.J. Hawkinson, athleticism. And number 2 is he has great burst. The strength for Noah Fant, and this is the first I've ever seen this term, because, a lot of scouts have the same verbiage and the same terms and everything like that. First time I've seen this term for a draft prospect. Noah Fant, first strength, mega athlete. Stud triple jumper, stud high jumper, and stud basketball player. So immediately there, that comes off the fact that this kid's got some athleticism, obviously. Number 2, acceleration off the snap. Gains separation very easily and has big bursts. And then last but not least, had nearly a touchdown with every 4 catches at Iowa, a nightmare to cover in the end zone. So
red zone guy.
He's an end zone guy for sure. So when we're talking about tight end, I'm not thinking about Noah Fant as a tight end per se. I'm thinking about him as a pass catcher. So as I analyze, hey, who's the best pass catcher in this draft, because that's what the Jaguars need. Now, he might go, in the late first round. If that's the case, the Jaguars probably going to get him because, A, if we need a quarterback, we're taking a quarterback. If we do have Foles, we might trade back, but this is possibly a guy that you can trade up in the second round to get. And if that's the case, I'm very intrigued by him. His weaknesses, obviously, because every pro's got strength and weaknesses. Weaknesses for him, he's got a thin waist and lower body, and he lacks grit. That tells me that tells me he's more of a pass catcher than he is a run blocker, and that's fine with me because, let's be honest, tight ends are pass catchers too. And then he also needs to compete harder on the backside of blocks, slow turn to field, and he's got to find the ball, make adjustments on underthrows. Nothing major. So I'm just saying, I want to see what this kid runs. I want to see how he looks catching the ball and everything, but he's very intriguing to me.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And there are reports, by the way, in the last week that the Jaguars are very interested in Jesse James, the Pittsburgh Steelers tight end. And that would make sense, right? Austin Seferian-Jenkins is gone. The Jags need to revamp that position. They need to revamp the running back room and the tight end room. And Fournette's sticking around, and who knows if there's a James O'Shaughnessy or someone like that. I mean, listen, you need numbers. I would be shocked if there's 4 brand new tight ends in Jacksonville, and sometimes you get away with 3. But Jesse James, someone in free agency like that, I think would fit. I think that would not surprise me. So I think the smoke there certainly adds up to some fire in mid-March. And then you are looking at the draft, and there is some depth in this draft when it comes to tight ends, which is nice. But as I continue to say, people, playmaker, playmaker, playmaker. I read something today. What was it from? It was Daniel Jeremiah, I believe. I really like Jeremiah from NFL Network. He had a conference call, and so he's talking about a lot of guys. And by the way, he's got Kyler Murray ahead of Haskins, one of the few guys that has Murray ahead of Haskins.
Interesting.
And he did say weight will be interesting, but he's up to like 206, so that's a good thing for Murray. But what he said about offensive linemen caught my attention because, again, let's go under the premise of they get Nick Foles. And then, therefore, you're not looking at a young QB. So let's take the young QB off the board at number 7. If that's the case, what I believe is they need an offensive lineman, a wide receiver, or a tight end. And I would love to find a wide receiver, but I just don't think there's one at 7. I just don't think they're jumping up and getting one. You brought up some DK Metcalf stuff. I know he's got a great body. I know all this stuff, but he doesn't have – the tape's not going to say I need yet 7.
No, he doesn't
I don't
have the
think
tape,
so.
Which is why the combine is so important for this guy.
Yeah, and then so that leads you to the tight ends. That's how we got into this whole T.J. Hawkinson thing. And so I believe a guy like Fant, if they love Fant, a guy like Hawkinson, if they love him. Again, I don't know where they put him on the board. I think they would reach there because Jeremiah also added today, and I really do respect his opinion, that there's a lot of depth on the offensive line too, but there's not a 10-year all-pro in this class. They don't feel like it. So if there's not the stud offensive lineman in the Jaguars' reviews and scouting, but there looks like there might be 2 to 3 studs at tight end if you add up Irv Smith into that fold. Well, gosh, how do you not say, I'm going to go get a stud? I want a top 10 player to be an all-pro 5, 6, 7, 8 times. Yeah. That's what you're looking for in the top 10. So forget about value of position. Go find me a stud. I don't know if you're getting a 5, 6, 7, 8-time all-pro at wide receiver. You need one, but I don't think you're getting one in the first round, or at least in the top 10. It doesn't sound like, from some of these folks that are talking, that's probably available even on the offensive line, even though I get you, Jacksonville. A lot of people, you think you need linemen. I get it. But if you're telling me that you need a tight end and there might be a stud tight end, either in Fant or Hawkinson, or in the top 10 picks, I don't think that's a reach. I think you're going to get a 5, 6, 7-time Pro Bowler potentially. To me, that's not reaching. That's going to get something you need and maybe the best available at that position, which is never a bad thing if you're getting the best player at a certain position.
Teams are also really high on Irv Smith from Alabama.
Yeah.
But they're saying he's a little more of a raw player, still kind of learning the position, I guess.
I think he's going to be available in the second round, I think.
But he's kind of a freak athlete, a guy that if you really mold into a receiver, could kind of change the game. It's interesting, though. The more I start to analyze this draft and I look at the players and whatnot, I'm definitely more intrigued towards like the 3rd and 4th rounds at receivers than I am at tight end. Really, the only guy that jumps off the paper at me as like a mid-round pick for a tight end, he's a guy I talked about at the Combine a little bit. I'm sorry, at the Senior Bowl, and it's a guy I wanted to interview. Unfortunately, I couldn't get a hold of him.
Is that Moreau?
No, it was actually San Jose State Josh Oliver. He's the guy that was wearing the Vans I told you about. I'm like, guys wearing Vans, I respect his style. But doing a little research on him, he's expected to go 3rd or 4th round. Expected to maybe run a 4.6, 4.7, so not the fastest guy, but he was actually recruited to play linebacker, but due to injuries, they had to switch him over to tight end. Not his injuries, just the team's injuries. But his strengths, which I thought were really interesting, was the highest one he had for his strength was he's highly regarded by his teammates, and number 2, he's always working on his craft. So this is a guy that you can bring into the locker room right away, and he'll be able to adjust, and he'll be able to master his craft because, like I said, he's been playing tight end for only a couple years. He was a guy that was heavily relied on at San Jose State, being a receiver at all 3 spots of the field, whether it's short, medium, or long. And he can also run the entire route tree, which was not every tight end can do that, supposedly, is what I'm reading here in the combine analysis and whatnot. His only weakness right now is that he might lack top-end speed and whiffs on some blocks. Once again, he's more of a pass-catching tight end than he is a run blocker. So I think a guy to keep an eye on definitely is Josh Oliver. Another guy, if he has good combine, coming from a school where not a lot of notoriety, but if he can put some good film at the combine, run a pretty good 40, show he has hands, catch all the balls coming his way, might be intriguing as well.
Listen, the other thing we do is we grade these things sometimes because of the names we know. We're all guilty of it. We are not scouts. And, you go off what either – and there are so many draft nicks now. So even when you're reading them, I mean, heck, you might find somebody that's like got a good following and says things that make some sense, but you're really still not really sure what what they know. That's why so many people go with the Mayoks and the Jeremiahs and even Kuiper and McShay, because people know them and they've at least got a bit of a track record of not being so far off. But we love the names we know. Like Oliver's not a guy we know.
No, not at all.
And so people aren't going to fall in love with that, but the Jags might, because they know it and they've scouted him and they've seen him sent plenty of times. They see a fit. Overall, from that tight end position, don't be shocked if they get 2 guys. Don't be shocked if they were to jump in and say, hey, we're going to take our chance on a Hawkinson or a Fant, and then they come back and get an Oliver or the kid from Boston College down the road in the draft. They need to revamp the position. The only one cautionary tale, I think. I know I just think that rookie year is tough for tight ends to be super productive. I think they come into their own, but go back and find me a lot of rookie tight ends that really made a splash, and I don't think the list is very long. So Jags might have to deal with that, but it might pave the way for the position for the next 5, 6, 10 years. Who knows? When we come back, some hot takes and stay in your lane on ESPN 690.
ESPN 690 Sports Center Update.
I'm Aaron, and it's been nearly 2 weeks since Manny Machado signed his big deal, and now we finally have breaking news on the Bryce Harper front.
MLB.com reported about 3 o'clock this morning that Bryce met with the Dodgers last night. If the Dodgers, in fact, get serious about Harper, it would likely be on a very short-term deal.
The Phillies are still believed the front runner on this one, but beside the Dodgers, other teams that have shown interest are the Giants, the White Sox, and the Nationals. The AP Top 25 is just out. New number one for the second week in a row. Gonzaga pops to the number one spot after Duke fell to UNC. Virginia back in the number two, while Florida State also drops. They're in the 18th spot now after losing to the Tar Heels over the weekend as well. And the Timberwolves' Karl Anthony Towns on the mend after his car was blasted on the highway by a semi-truck. Towns has cleared concussion protocol. Will suit up tonight against the Kings. Stream us anytime, 24/7. Just go to ESPN690.com and hit Listen Live.
Hey, it's Bill with Bill Fenwick Plumbing. If you've ever had a leak under your concrete slab, then you know how much it can increase your water bill or even your electric or gas bill if it's on the hot side of your plumbing system. Slab leaks can be costly, but luckily they are no match for our Golden Plunger service. If you suspect that you have a broken water pipe under the slab, have our team of professionals come out, locate the leak, and help you get your plumbing back on track. If you'd like to schedule a service call or would like some tips to determine whether or not you have a leak, visit BillFenwickPlumbing.com.
Hey, everybody, this is Brent Martineau from ESPN 690 and Action Sports Jax, and we know who the football team of the year is. Yep, the Patriots again. What you may not know is my friends at the brand new Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville have the North American Utility Vehicle of the Year. They raise that trophy. It's the new 2019 Hyundai Kona, and this is a super slick crossover utility vehicle. I encourage you to swing by the Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville showroom on Atlantic Boulevard and take a look at this new crossover utility vehicle. The Kona is offered in 4 trim levels: the SE, the SEL, the Limited, and the Ultimate. Go see my friends at the new Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville and schedule a test drive and order the new Konas today. And remember, Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville is the home of the 7-day money-back guarantee and offers the limited lifetime warranty that's good anywhere in the United States. Visit the showroom and visit them online at JenkinsHyundaiofJacksonville.com.
The spread and that college-style offense. Listen, in 3 years, you might see the Big 12 be run by the NFL because it's the exact same kind of offense that's going on here.
Action Sports Jax with Brent Martineau. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on ESPN 690.
You watch Action Sports Jax on CBS 47 and Fox 30. Now Action Sports Jax is on your radio.
Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anajar and Levine studios.
Here's your host, Brent Martineau.
Hey, hang with us for a half hour more on a Monday. Hope you're having a good day, everybody, in Jacksonville, Florida, and beyond. Listening to us from all over the place, from Rhode Island to Wisconsin, Texas, England, Australia.
Worldwide.
We are. Worldwide.
I think I got some friends listening in California, too, on the West Coast. Yeah.
There you go.
Yep.
I know we've got some folks down in Southwest Florida listening too, so I love it. Love to be able to hit all the different platforms. Appreciate you listening, everybody, on a Monday edition of Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690. We want to send you to the Players Championship. Can't wait for a couple of weeks. We'll be live at the Players at TPC Sawgrass all week long. Come join us. Come say hello, and you can get some Captain Club weekly passes. All you have to do is go to ESPN690.com, the new website, click contests, register, and win. Simple as that. ESPN690.com, and we'll send you to the Players Championship coming up in a couple of weeks. All right, stay in your lane time coming up in just a moment. But before we get to stay in your lane, which we've had some fantastic Austin Lane stories from the Combine. Oh, boy. Play them in, Coos.
I can confirm, too, he has a fresh new haircut today, I saw.
He does.
Money.
He does. And you know what? I love that about you, Coos, is that I forgot to ask you, and you delivered.
Yeah.
You delivered the song. It's now married to Weber whenever he comes on. Stuart Weber joins us. What's up, Weber? I tell you what, we've got an interesting Monday in town. We got a little Your Call football, which I think few people had heard of before we told them about it this afternoon, and we're going to check that out. We got a little ping pong going on with the Iceman. And are you seriously at a curling event?
So I just swung by the arena to talk with gold medal curler Tyler George, who is in town, and he's here for a meet and greet and a Learn to Curl event tonight with the Jacksonville Granite Curling Club. So he'll be at the arena tonight. And this is a weekly thing that they do, by the way. They do the curling every week. I don't know if it's always at the arena. It might also be at the Iceplex from time to time. But tonight they got a gold medal winner there. He's got the hardware with him. So it was cool to chat with him a little bit. And now I'm over at Smash as they're getting ready to go play host to the big ping pong event for the Icemen, who don't need the ice tonight because they're off.
All right, we're going to do our sports live from there at 6:50 on Fox 30 as well. So, hey, that's what this time of year, when you're out of football season a bit, you get a lot of different things. And I was mentioning this earlier in the show. Action Sports Jax team hit like all different things: basketball, softball, football. Where else were we last week? High school events,
CrossFit, Savage or Spartan Racing. I mean,
right.
It's all over the place, really.
Right, the Moe's Classic was Saturday.
Yeah, Moe's Classic this weekend. A heartbreaker for JU.
So anyway, and then today on a Monday we get Your Call Football, which is like this combination, it feels like, of Madden and gambling, and you can win. And you get to make the calls on offense. Now we're going a little curling and ping pong, too. How's that ping pong place? Have you been yet?
I haven't stepped inside yet. I'm about to go do that with all the equipment here right after we get off. But I've seen pictures of the inside of it. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's a place that's, ping pong isn't the afterthought. Like some places, one particular establishment down at Jax Beach, which I tend to enjoy quite a bit, has a nice ping pong table in the back.
What's up, Green Room?
Pong, that would be Green Room,
yeah.
Shout out to those guys who are in one of my bowling leagues, by the way.
Cool.
I digress.
You notice how he said one of? He said multiple bowling leagues.
Trust me, we had this conversation earlier today.
Yeah, this
already.
is starting to become an epidemic.
Yep.
It's not an epidemic. It's a life choice. Don't worry about it. Anyhow.
He has his own shoes. Anyways.
You need your own shoes. Okay, so this place, ping pong is the main event. So that's pretty cool. You can go there, get some food, get some drink, and rent out a table and enjoy yourself there tonight. Great cause. They're going to have a little tournament where you can go head-to-head with the Iceman players. If you sign up for the tournament, you're guaranteed to at least battle one Iceman. And
hey, that's me. I'm the Iceman.
Right. There you go. Funds raised. They're going to the Muscular Dystrophy Association of Jacksonville, so it's for a great cause as well. But yeah, people come on out, come down to Smash. I just saw a truck come by with a Iceman flag on the window, so folks are getting here and should be a good time tonight.
Really good crowds again over the weekend for a couple of home games. I think 14,000 combined Saturday and Sunday down at the arena for the Icemen, and they're playing pretty good hockey. Won again yesterday, beat Norfolk. Big games coming down the stretch of the season. So good stuff with the Icemen. We'll be out there with the TV side of things on Fox 30 at 6:50. Thanks for checking in, Stuart Weber. You want to play? You want to hear your song again going out too, or you got
I think
that?
Just coming in is probably fine.
Absolutely not.
I'm sure it's going to happen again anyways. But, yeah, Phillips and Bay Meadows is over where Smash is. So come join us out here tonight and go check it out.
All right. Nice haircut.
Do what I can.
Yeah. Thanks, Weber. Weber checking in.
I almost want to start whipping my hair back and forth.
The thing I'm shocked about is Weber, who you claim has the best hair in the business, that he actually likes the play-in. So I thought he'd be very offended by it.
I did not think it was going to go over well.
Yeah, he likes it.
It's not like it's really a knock to him or anything. It's more of a song about if you have long hair, which he doesn't have. So it doesn't necessarily really fit his style, but I'm all for it.
It's really the only hair song, that really you can play.
There's got to be more than that.
There's definitely more hair songs. I just can't think of any right now. Any fellow listeners out there listening to the show right now, feel free to tweet me if you have any good hair songs. Not hair band songs. I mean, just songs about hair.
By the way, just to update the Icemen in the standings, they have 60 points. They're in 6th place, so they've moved up one spot since we talked to Jason Christie last week. Mm-hmm. They're only 2 points away from 4th place in the conference standings. So doing a nice job, having a good season, hopefully get some playoff action here in Jacksonville.
So with playoff action, obviously it gets pretty intense. What are the odds I can join the team for the playoffs, Brent? Because that's when the fights start breaking out. That's when, every game means something. And if they need an enforcer, Brent.
One of the best things I ever covered in this business, I covered the Providence Bruins and the Hartford Wolfpack in the AHL, and it was the Calder Cup playoffs. Mm-hmm. So that was when I was working in Providence. So I was new in the business. But I think it was 3 straight years they were back and forth in the finals, and Dude, you want to see fights.
Yep.
They hated each other. Mm-hmm. It was awesome. And the games would go 6-7. The place was rocking. Yeah. We would go to Hartford. We'd go on the road. I mean, Hartford's only a couple hours from Providence. So it was fantastic stuff.
Right on.
And I think that's what's cool about this league, ECHL, is that you have Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they have the Everblades. You have enough teams locally where you play them enough. Mm-hmm. And the way they set up the schedule a lot of times is you'll play them back-to-back nights or 3 times in 4 days, where then that's where things start getting a little crazy.
For sure.
But we'll keep you up to date on the Jacksonville Icemen, home on Wednesday night, but putting on a little fundraiser out there tonight as well. All right, stay in your lane. What you got?
Stay in your lane. Remember that whole Zion thing? Everyone's like, oh, Nike stock's going to fall, and gosh, they're going to go out of business.
He's not playing, by the way, tomorrow night. They've already ruled him out.
Yeah, so everyone was kind of panicking about that. Let's get serious, because Nike said, that's cool. Check this out. And they started the Show Them What Crazy Dreams Can Do campaign, which premiered during the Oscars last night. It featured a bunch of female athletes basically in sports and in coaching, names such as Becky Hammond of the San Antonio Spurs, the former footballer Sam Gordon, Sue Bird, Dana Taurasi, Chloe Kim from snowboarding. I think she landed the first double-corked 1080, if I'm not mistaken. And
I'm not going to challenge you.
Yeah, don't even challenge that. and then in closing, there was a woman narrating it, and one of the final quotes was, "A woman winning 23 Grand Slams, having a baby, and then coming back for more. Crazy. That's crazy. Crazy. That's fine. Let's show them what crazy can do." And ended up being Serena Williams.
Of course.
So I thought it was a really cool commercial. Nike always brings their A game when it comes to promotional stuff. This time getting the females involved. Before it was Colin Kaepernick, which is a pretty cool commercial too. But props to Nike, man. Like, it's funny. We had like this whole Zion thing, and it's like it's already passed. It's not a big deal.
What I'm fascinated to see when it comes to Nike and Zion is, will they sign him? Will they turn this into a promotional material to sign him? You can see this, like,
I feel like they almost have to make it right.
And where does he fit on that? Does he want to? So that will be an incredible storyline to follow in the offseason.
And for those of you following that Nike stock, it is up 3% since Zion went down. So it's actually gone up.
I'll have to check if I have any.
Yep. And then stay in your lane. Let's take it back to Saturday night. Milwaukee hosted 90s night.
Did you see the fan?
I saw the fan. Yeah, that was insane. But this is more about the music, Brent. As I'm all about the music. Ja Rule actually performed for 90s night. And much to the chagrin of some Milwaukee fans thought it was cool. They were cheering, and some could care less. It's Ja Rule, let's be honest. 50 Cent put him away with that rap beef. But the highlight of the performance, and your stay in your lane part, which can be a good thing too, I guess, is Giannis Antetokounmpo, also known as the Greek alphabet, showing that he could care less about Ja Rule by literally shooting baskets during the performance in between the dancers and whatnot, saying, "Hey, I don't care about Ja Rule. I'm trying to win MVP. Trying to take the Bucks to the championship. Ja Rule, get out of my city, get out of my town. You're not even from Milwaukee, so get serious." And on top of that, the Timberwolves actually made a joke on Twitter making fun of his performance, in which case Ja Rule put a 30-year curse on the franchise, which, let's be honest, it's the Timberwolves. Ja Rule, you could have reached a little harder than that. Like, literally, you're going to put a 30-year curse on the Timberwolves. They're the Timberwolves. They don't need any curses. It's going to be okay. So that was my stay in your lane.
Ja Morant, greater than sign Ja Rule.
Oh, yeah. That's a great next sign. Thanks, Brent. That's teamwork right there, folks.
Just came up with one.
Yep.
I had a sign idea over the weekend, and I knew I should have written it down.
You got to write it down?
Got to start a hashtag, just sign ideas.
I got it. We'll do it when we come back. A serious question. Not really, but it feels serious to me. Seriously hot takes. You got something for us?
I do.
That's next on ESPN 690.
Oye, amigo, it is the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
Did James Harrison ever tell Ben Roethlisberger to put down the beers and get in a little better shape? Please say yes.
Ben's in good shape.
He is?
Ben looks good.
If you say he looks good, he looks good. That's the
right.
deal.
We think he runs like a skyscraper, but if you say he looks good, that's fine by us. We'll let it go.
That's a good thing he ain't paid to run. He paid to throw.
The Dan Le Batard Show with the Stuttgarts on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
Hi, it's Nathan from Gordon Chevy in Orange Park, where our no-bull pricing and express sales process will have you out the door in a new Chevy fast. No bull means fast, fair, and transparent. It's what you can always expect at Gordon Chevy. And right now, take up to $10,000 off the 19 new body-style Silverado crew cabs and up to $12,000 off the 19 previous body Silverados. Only at the money-saving end of Blanding and online at GordonChevy.com. Chevy, find new roads.
Peace of mind. It's one of the most important things we can have and sometimes the most elusive. I'm Eli Anajar from the law offices of Anajar and Levine. If you've been injured as a result of someone else's negligence, call the law offices of Anajar and Levine at 904-600-4000.
Office in Jacksonville.
Hi, this is Stan Nagel for Energy Seal Foam Installation. Summer's coming, guys. Remember last year when you were burning up and your electric bill was off the chain? Why not do something about it this year and call Energy Seal to come out and fix your home for you? This summer, cool off that bonus room and really be able to use it. Spray foam insulation really works. Call us today and save 25% off our summer rates. Call 888-306-3626 or look us up on the web, EnergySealToday.com. Call us now, 888-306-3626. We're Energy Seal, sealing in energy and saving you money.
Peace of mind. It's one of the most important things we have, and sometimes the most elusive. I'm Glenn Levine from the law offices of Anajar and Levine. If you've been injured in a slip and fall accident, call us at 904-600-4000.
Office in Jacksonville.
If Dell Demps had moved Anthony Davis as general manager for the New Orleans Pelicans, he would have been fired. You know, you had teams in smaller markets on the phone calling him, imploring him not to capitulate to the demands.
The Stephen A. Smith Show, weekdays from 1 to 3 p.m. on ESPN 690.
Now, back to Action Sports Jax with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
All right, I did a bad job of tweeting out. I like to tweet out every single segment. Well, hot takes coming up next. We got Stay in Your Lane already done. It's been a big day for Austin Lane. Have you shared stories from the Combine, Stay in the Lane, a little Oscar talk?
Yeah.
Expert on everything. Hey, if you want to go to the Players Championship, ESPN690.com, the place to be. And all you have to do is go to the contest page, and you can win Captain Club weekly passes to the players just in a couple of weeks. So make sure you go, register, and win. ESPN690.com, the new website up and running. And by the way, on ESPN690.com, you can also stream us from all over the planet if you wish to do so, which we hope. You can also find us on the TuneIn app, the iHeartRadio app as well. And feel free to call whenever you want. We're accepting 362-9901. And for you out-of-towners, that's a 904 area code. You should know the 904-362-9901. What's the magic whiteboard say? Did you go with the Ja Morant?
Yeah, man. Sorry for the copyright infringement, but I decided to steal your idea.
Yeah. And
take the Ja Morant is greater than Ja Rule.
I got another one.
Close.
And I'm not going to write it down.
Okay.
And maybe I will I'll share it with the I got to put it on the board.
Mm-hmm.
But this was I've remembered what my whiteboard one was. And we were bored out of our minds the other night flipping through channels, and we land on Family Feud.
Okay.
And so we watched Family Feud. And by the way, for this episode, it was like a family that had won. I guess now if you win 5 straight days, you win a car.
Is this old school Family Feud or new school Family Feud?
No, Steve Harvey.
Okay.
Yeah, he's very good at it, too.
Yeah.
And so we watched back-to-back episodes. But you know, at the end, like this one woman especially was horrific at the end, the bonus stuff.
Yep.
I mean, they got like 100 points combined.
Oof.
Some of them were tough questions, but so it was brutal. But that's not the deal. We'll watch it for almost like 45 minutes. And you get the little face-off there.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to say, you get it right. And if you win, you got to say, do you want to play or pass?
Mm-hmm.
Has anyone ever said pass?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, not like the newer. I don't watch new school stuff anymore, but I used to watch the older ones. Was it Chuck Lorre? What was it? No, what's the guy's name? The really awkward guy that was kissing all the girls in the cheeks. I forgot what his name was.
We should know this.
Kuz, you got an answer for me?
But you've seen people say pass on Family Feud?
Yeah. Depending what the question is, because then they think the other team's not going to guess it. I've seen it happen a couple times, but in the old school show.
I have never heard. I mean, I've watched enough Family Feud, and I don't remember ever seeing it.
Well, I mean, if it's me, you want to play. You have to have confidence in your abilities. You just can't give it off to the other team and leave it in their hands, but it has been done before.
So who's, I wonder which one you're referring to. Richard Dawson?
Richard Dawson,
okay.
Thank you. Yeah. That dude was giving smooches out to everybody.
That was back in the day now. I mean, that's going, I think He might have had a couple runs at it the way it looks like.
It's not like I was alive during that time. It was just the fact.
Well, I know that's why I didn't know who you were talking about.
Yeah, Richard Dawson.
But yeah, I think Harvey is the best since him.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know. I don't know the other. John O'Hurley was the most recent.
Okay.
And he wasn't as good.
I guess
Harvey's
wasn't
fantastic.
Louis Anderson on there too a little bit?
Yes, yeah. Louis Anderson, Richard Karn, Ray Combs. But I didn't even know there were that many of them. I feel like it went from Dawson to someone else and then Harvey. But Harvey's good.
Yeah.
But anyway, I can't believe I have never seen. That's why I thought of that. And I was like, I'm going to put this on the whiteboard.
No, for sure.
Because I have never seen anybody say pass.
Yeah. It was on I don't know, I'm not sure what episode it was, but back with the Richard Dawson days, I saw it happen a couple times.
All right. Well, there you go. Coos, you got some that's my hot take. That wasn't really hot.
I was just saying, I don't really know. Was there something to agree or disagree with? Really?
I didn't know I was getting a Family Feud, but
yeah, we cover all bases on this show. It's all good.
Yeah, we just did ping pong and curling a moment ago.
So the first hot take off of the competition committee, considering changing some of the celebration rules for the NFL, saying that players that aren't on the field can't come out to celebrate. The comment back is, teammates want to celebrate with their guys. What's the problem with that? Why are you trying to change this?
Yeah, listen, either you're going to celebrate on the sidelines, you're going to celebrate on the field. So you might as well just be cool with it and celebrate on the field. Sports like stations and stuff make it a habit of showing those celebrations. And I think it's one of the coolest things of football going right now. I remember, I hate to say it, but the Titans, when they did like the whole old school remember the Titans dance or whatever like that, that was pretty cool. I know the Vikings had a couple cool ones. The Eagles always get like the shuffle going.
The Steelers have had some good ones over the years.
So
bring Antonio Brown. Bring him here.
Listen.
That's actually the main comment. It said, if Juju isn't allowed to come out and celebrate with the defense, I'm going to be upset.
No, I'm up for the celebrations and everything. If teams got an issue with it, then don't let the other team score. It's all about having fun, and it's something for the kids. You know?
But this is more like, can you come off the bench? I'd be fine with it if you couldn't come off the bench, to be honest with you. You got 11 freaking guys out there. If you can't do a celebration and choreograph something with 11 guys on the field.
Here goes old man Martineau.
Why do you need the other 42?
Here comes old man Martineau trying to shut fun down for everybody.
Like, here's the one I want to see, though. I want to see... We haven't seen this yet. If you want to be new and creative NFL team, get your head coach to celebrate with you.
Ooh.
Who would do that?
Got to be a younger coach, you would assume.
Pete Carroll?
Oh, Carroll for sure.
McVay?
I don't know.
He's kind of straight-laced.
Yeah, McVay seems a little too cool for school sometimes. I think Pete Carroll for sure. I don't think Sean Payton either. I think Sean Payton's got a little bit of
Andy Reid?
Andy Reid?
He had a thing going with T.O. back in the day that if T.O. scored, I think it was 16 touchdowns in a season, he'd wear like spandex only for a game.
So I would say, I'm sorry, keep going.
I think T.O. got to 15 that year, and everyone in Philly was like, I don't know if we're excited or upset.
So I would say how great Andy Reid was and everything. Did you ever see that video of, I'm sorry, who's the Eagles coach again? Head coach.
Oh, Peterson.
Yeah, Peterson. Did you ever see Peterson talk to his players about the ice cream? Like, we got some ice cream here?
Yeah.
Do you know where Peterson got that from?
I thought I saw this.
So it's from Andy Reid.
It's from Reid, okay.
So before every away game or home game, I only had him in the preseason, but before every game, Andy Reid would come in, he'd give like the speech and everything before the night before the game, and then he would go, all right, guys, well, I saw the spread here. We got a lot of good burgers here for you, so let's go have a burger on me, my treat. And that's how he closed off every single meeting. Burger on me, my treat. So that's actually where Peterson got the ice cream thing from, was Andy Reid.
You guys like
hilarious.
That?
Oh, yeah, it was hilarious.
You couldn't wait for it.
Well, I'll never forget, too, one time, like, we played, I think, where did we play at? Oh, we played in Pittsburgh, and Reid was like, the following week, he was like, sorry about that crap we had in Pittsburgh, guys. That was in top sirloin, but we're back home in Kansas City now. And I also made sure we had top sirloin coming in for you guys. So, hey, let's go have a cheeseburger on me. We'll see you later.
That's funny.
It was awesome.
I might put that as a poll question. Who would be the first coach to celebrate with the team?
I like it.
A touchdown. I was thinking maybe Bruce Arians.
Yeah, or maybe Cliff Kingsbury, too, now.
Yeah, but see, the young guys, I think it's more like a Carroll or an Arians who it's got to be one of those guys that says, I don't really give a dang what you think. Like the young guys are still like trying to make their way. They don't want to be like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like Rex Ryan, I would have put him on the list if he's still coaching. But
for sure, Rex Ryan, obviously. Yeah.
I don't know that would be the next phase of it. But anyway, keep the guys on the bench is my point.
All right. Yeah, a long way to get around to that, but that's the point. All right, the other hot take here. Ravens informed wide receiver Michael Crabtree that he's being released today. That was a big topic. The comment says he was wasted with Jackson as quarterback. Could be a good pickup for someone needing a wide receiver. So my ask to you guys, should the Jags look into it?
You're up.
I'm good. That's all I got to say about it.
That's it?
I'm good.
There was a lot of quotes in the chat as well of certain defensive players' comments about Crabtree, if you remember that.
Hey, Brent.
Let's see. I'm gonna give you. Yeah, I think I'll probably agree with you, unfortunately. But here's Crabtree last few years: 54 catches, 600 yards, 58 catches, 600 yards. 2016 with Oakland, of course, with Amari Cooper there too. 89 catches, 1,000 yards. 85 for 900, 68 for 700. I mean, he's going to be 32 years old. I mean, I
has problem catching the ball.
Here's
has
the problem.
Ego on him.
My problem with Crabtree is you're not I don't even want a receiver walking in this door unless he's a playmaker. And Michael Crabtree, to me, is not a playmaker. So if you're not going to get me somebody that's going to wow me and also make the rest of that cast of characters better here in Jacksonville, don't even waste your time. Because I think you got enough of those kind of guys. I want somebody that's either young that I haven't seen so I can at least hope that he's good, or I want somebody that I know is a playmaker. And in free agency, by the way, there's not very many of those that you know that's a playmaker that's going to be available. Deshaun Jackson type could be. Obviously, could you trade for Antonio Brown? Those are the guys that I would say, okay. Otherwise, get me a young guy, and I'll just hope and pray that he's someone that's good.
Nothing like the discuss for Michael Crabtree to bring us together, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks,
and now the last one here is about Shaquem Griffin. And the post just says, if he has another subpar season, will the Seahawks cut him? So I bring that up to interpretation to you guys.
I think listen, it'll become a business at some point. I mean, it's part of the hysteria and the celebration and the love affair with Shaquem Griffin from this point last year, really. It was the Combine where he really got everybody's attention. He was a late ad, and it was unbelievable. That then he got drafted. Perfect situation in Seattle. You know, obviously we had him on the program within the last month. And I think they'll take their time with him to come along. He's a 5th-round pick. I don't think there's a hope that he's going to be a perennial all-pro just yet. But I think special teams-wise and where does he fit, there's no doubt there's going to be an acclimation process. There is for every rookie. And so would I be shocked if he gets cut after this year? No, because that's the business. But I think this guy's going to earn himself some opportunities in Seattle to stay there.
Especially with KJ Wright possibly being a free agent. Griffin might actually take his spot, so he might see a lot more playing time than he's seen before. Listen, it's like Brent said, he's a 5th-round pick, so it's not like they spent a 1st-round, 2nd-round pick and they're calling him a bust already. I mean, there is a transition from the college game to the pros. Doesn't matter what college you went to. So they always say that the first year to the second year is the most you can make progress when it comes to the NFL. So let's see what he's got this year. I'm not going to count him out, obviously. The dude's got the work ethic and he's got the attitude. So I think he's going to be on the Seahawks for a while, and especially a Seahawks organization, too, with Snyder at the helm, where they like to, they like to stick with their guys that they drafted. They like to stay by them and everything. So pending he doesn't have any off-the-field issues, which I don't see him having, he should be there for a couple more years.
We're rooting for him. We like Shaquem Griffin, no doubt about it. Karl Anthony Towns going to play tonight. Said there's a 5% chance he lived through that accident. He's playing tonight. How about that?
Watch out for that Ja Rule curse.
Yeah, watch us on TV. Fox 30 at 6:50, CBS 47 tonight. Have a good night, everybody.
ESPN 690 Sports Center Update.
I'm Aaron, and it's been nearly 2 weeks since Manny Machado signed his big deal, and now we finally have breaking news on the Bryce Harper front.
MLB.com reported about 3 o'clock this morning that Bryce met with the Dodgers last night. If the Dodgers, in fact, get serious about Harper, it would likely be on a very short-term deal.
The Phillies are still believed the front runner on this one, but beside the Dodgers, other teams that have shown interest are the Giants, the White Sox, and the Nationals. The AP Top 25 is just out. New number 1 for the 2nd week in a row. Gonzaga pops to the number 1 spot after Duke fell to UNC. Virginia back in the number 2, while Florida State also drops. They're in the 18th spot now after losing to